celebrate the corner and free kick. I remember perfectly when I was a young boy, so nothing changed. But it's true that I think Arsenal dictate a little bit how they do it, and is an important role. And before years ago in NBA, the 3-shot point was not involved as much, like Golden State Warriors, where Stephen Curry started to make 3 points and everyone adapt, and now Celtics do it as well. So many teams. So it's part of the ball, part of the dynamics, and you can say complain. Now you have to adapt, and it's part of the game.
Arteta and Arsenal go to Brighton tonight. Brighton boss Fabian Hürzeler has suggested that, well, set pieces, they're getting a negative reaction, so we maybe need a rule change.
I think because it disturbs the rhythm of the game, and there are no clear rules anymore. How much time you can spend for a corner, how much time you can spend for a throw-in. When Arsenal has a corner and they are leading, sometimes they spend over 1 minute just to take a corner, and therefore I think we just have to make like clear rules, because then in the end we have a netto game time of 50 minutes instead of sometimes 65 minutes.
And at corner kicks, of course, we see what happens with all this wrestling amongst players inside the box.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, here are your sports headlines. I'm Will Hobbs, and the breaking news today: EFL clubs have voted to expand the Championship playoffs down to 8th place from next season. Former playoff winning chairman Simon Jordan says it's a win-win on and off the field.
But the fact of the matter is that the predominant opportunity is for them to finance it better, but the secondary benefit is that there's more engagement, and as you say, it creates more jeopardy for more sides with more opportunity.
Now, lots of moaning about boring Arsenal from the teams who can't beat them, a la Brighton. David Moyes, however, whose team face Arsenal next weekend, says the criticism comes from those who don't know football.
They've been leading the Premier League nearly from the start. Nobody's really looked as if they've been catching them, and yet Man City are having a good go at it. But let's be fair, I don't think anybody would have expected them to sort of walk off with it, and nobody challenged them at all. So I have to say, I think Mikel's done a brilliant job.
At the other end, Spurs are just a point off the bottom three. Neil Warnock's blaming what he calls a toxic dressing room.
Some of the Tottenham players, the ability they've got, and yet they use it when they want to use it. And I just think it's criminal, for the manager.
Spurs host Palace tonight, of course. Their head coach, Ollie Glasner's banned from driving for 6 months after driving at 29 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone in Bermondsey in July. Speaking of driving, ahead of this weekend's F1 season opener in Australia, Aston Martin principal Adrian Newey admits their cars are not ready. The steering wheel is vibrating so much that the drivers, he says, will get permanent nerve damage if they complete a race. And Josh Butler's England will look to topple favourites India in what will be the third successive T20 World Cup semi-final between the two teams. It gets underway in Mumbai at 1:30, and we'll keep you fully updated.
talkSPORT News.
Changes to the immigration system will see some families offered up to 40 grand to leave the UK, and the Defence Secretary's in Cyprus to try and patch up relations after being accused of being slow to respond to a drone attack on the island. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the weather, our range of services is longer than the queue at the Chippy on a Friday night. Tyres, MOTs, brakes and more. Book today at quickfit.com.
Across Scotland and Northern Ireland, rain moving slowly south eastwards. West Wales and the west of England seeing showery rain. Elsewhere, very mild and mostly sunny.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman. What
Brilliant news for the tens of thousands of you who regularly text and say they cannot stand Max Rushton. It's not even Max Rushton today. Instead, you've got me, Danny Kelly, and as it was yesterday, the mighty Charlie Baker. And as a warning to you all, like some kind of red rain warning in the weather forecast, we're back again tomorrow. Got an amazing show for you today. I cannot lie about that. As well as keeping across all the sport that's going on, that huge news from the Championship about a change in the way the playoffs are going to work. We've got to review another incredibly important day, or rather evening, in the Premier League when the race for the title cooled down, but the race to avoid relegation very much hotted up, if that's the correct phrase for that. We'll also be keeping up to date with everything, and I mean everything that happens in the semi-final of the World T20 Cup. I won't say the name of the stadium because it doesn't really work on radio, but let's say it's in Mumbai. Live.
Say live. It, Danny. Go on. Have a go at it.
It's at the Wankaday Stadium in Mumbai. I mean,
I'm not laughing. You grow up.
That is the fact. That is the fact of it. So we'll call it Mumbai for the meanwhile.
Wasn't that Timmy Mallet? Oh no, it's a different one. We're wide awake anyway, Danny.
Absolutely, and it should be a great show. Me and Charlie will try and see you through the next 3 hours. We'll be previewing Cheltenham as well and getting you involved in the game that talkSPORT have invented involving Alan Brazil at Cheltenham. Now, if that sounds like it could be absolutely useless, well, you're right, but it turns out it's really brilliant.
Sensational.
So we'll look at that as well. Welcome one, welcome all. To him, Charlie Baker, me, Danny Kelly, the mighty talkSPORT, and 3 hours taking you through till the drive time this evening. Now, as you can hear, I am, as so often at the start of these broadcasts, in high dudgeon. All is well in this best of all possible worlds, and the hat is on the side of my head. Charlie, I know, though, wants to let all the air out of my tyres.
I've got a couple of things to say, Danny. First of all, it was very exciting then in the news. I don't know if you heard it, Danny, when Will went and let's go. And Neil Warnock thinks this about Spurs, right? And Neil Warnock is, of course, the current Torquay United manager. And I was like, what's this now? And we're just having Torquay United managers. Who next on the weather? Don O'Riordan? Who's doing the travel for us? Ivan Golak, our manager in 1994. Is that what's happened?
Ivan Golak was manager of Torquay?
Yeah, the ex-Dundee United manager. Yeah, he was Torquay United manager for about 3 months. Didn't do very well, Danny. But
so longer than a Rossignol senior. So you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's all relative at Torquay United. How long you're the manager for? Yeah.
Everything goes round. Anyway, yes, I wanted you to say nice things about some football clubs, Danny. I don't know if you're up for that or not.
Well, you're reflecting on the fact that last night could hardly have gone worse for Tottenham. Their local rivals won and closed in on the league title. Their other local rivals won. Their local rivals won and closed in on them in the race for relegation. And Nottingham Forest, who are supposed to lose that game, managed not to lose that game.
Yeah, they got a Desmond, didn't they, v Man City. So let's say nice things, Danny.
Yes.
New feature. Danny says nice things about Chelsea. Let's say nice things about Chelsea. A brilliant win for Liam Rossignol last night.
Their scattergun transfer policy occasionally hits the bullseye. Who would have expected that of all the players that have come and gone the last 18 months, that João Pedro would be the one that actually clicked for them? He's a beautiful footballer. And with Rodrigo's injury, I think he's going to become increasingly important to Brazil in the upcoming World Cup. That's something nice about one of Chelsea's players.
Very nice. Anything else you want to add to that? No, we'll move on from there.
You're working up, aren't you? I can tell, yeah.
West Ham. Say something nice about West Ham, Danny.
yeah, the West Ham fans will all agree when I say thank goodness they've moved to the London Stadium. That horrible, pokey, aggressive little shack that they had there in Green Street, Upton Park. I mean, horrible place. So much better than they've now gone to the soulless Enormo Dome in Stratford, and of course it's handy afterwards for a Nando's in the big Stratford shopping centre.
Yeah, it's a shame though, isn't it? It is a real shame. That has got to be the worst football move of all time.
I am, of course, being deliberately
I know you are, Danny. I know you are.
The old West Ham ground, even though I was once chased out of it.
Yeah,
that's
with a lot of its charm. Part of its charm.
Yeah.
Not at the time, but in hindsight.
Oh, in hindsight, we're very nostalgic about mass hooliganism. Yeah, absolutely.
The nostalgia of being chased by someone with a snooker ball in a sock, Danny, does it washes over you now and again.
Well, yeah, it was like a scene out of that film Scum with when he goes, "Where's your tool?
Yeah, where's your daddy?
What's tool?" And then it all kicks off from there, doesn't it? Yeah.
So, all right, so you sort of said something nice about West Ham. I don't think you really did. And Arsenal are the final team that Danny Kelly's going to say something nice about.
Well, regular listeners will know that all of my loved ones, because we're from Islington, support the Arsenal.
Yeah.
And notice I use the local vernacular as well, the Arsenal.
Yes, of course.
No actual Arsenal fan would ever call them Arsenal. They're the Arsenal.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kelly is an Arsenal fanatic. And so I suppose I can... Look, I will say this.
You're like Romeo and Juliet, Danny.
Spurs, yeah. Romeo Zondervan, and I can't go on with that.
Oh, yeah. Nice to be there somewhere.
Look, I can't be doing with Spurs fans getting on a high horse too much about Arsenal, because we get two opportunities a season to stop them winning the title. We can take 6 points off them.
Yeah, sure.
In those two games, we've lost 4-1 and 4-1. So here's what I think Spurs fans need to do about Arsenal particularly, although we'll discuss their style later, of course. We need to shut up about it. We've had our chance and done nothing with it. In fact, of course, we've taken 4 points off Manchester City, thus accelerating.
Yeah, helping them out. In many ways, helping them out. Very good, yes.
I mean, look... We're going to talk about this later, so I don't want to...
No, we don't need too much. You've said nice things now.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Very good. So we wanted on the text, 81089, because of Alan Brazil's Cheltenham game, which is excellent. Do go on. I'm being paid to say that it's excellent, but I will actually say it is really good fun. It's very funny. Whoever's made it has put good jokes in it. Jill turns up in it. Jill Brazil turns up in it at some point. Ali looks sensational in it.
And also the fact that, in this world of AI and all the rest of it, and CGI, where they could have made it look super smooth, the fact that they've done it, and I think quite deliberately, designed to look like Super Mario or a game from sort of that era.
32-bit, I think it is, they call it.
It's really enjoyable. And I must say, I haven't really committed all my talents to it, or time, but I keep... There's a bit where you have to avoid crabs and the ocean shore creatures.
Sure.
And
not the
really
club 18 to 30 type.
I'm really. God, the first 10 minutes of the show.
I'm working from the Blue Book, Danny, this afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I expect when we come back from the break, there'll be 2 other presenters, won't there?
They'll take me off. They won't take you off. They'll take me off.
If we had an office cat, it would be, welcome back to talkSPORT, meow.
But anyway, you said your friend invented sensible soccer, which was, I spent my complete teenage years playing sensible soccer. My favourite football game.
Look, my friend Dan was, he's another Dan, was involved, he had the company that had Sensible Soccer, and he's a big football fan and a very smart businessman. Also ran the brilliant record label Rhythm King. But we were talking about the progress that games make. When Sensible Soccer came out, it was the absolute ne plus ultra. It was the most modern thing in the world. You had to get a box to play it.
Yeah.
And that was about the size of a small family car. And we were, years later, long since sold the rights to it, we were in a garage together. We were doing another business. We were launching Football 365.
Yeah.
And we went to a garage and they were giving away Sensible Soccer in a little sort of memory stick on the end of a key ring.
Brilliant.
And that's how much the world has changed.
Yeah.
But I think we want to, let's not expand it out into all computer games. Just your favourite football games, computer football games.
Your old Atari games or on your and Nintendo systems or your Commodore 64s or your Sinclair Spectrums, whatever you've got.
I remember, Charlie, for me, I know it's Football Manager 2000, 2001. The classic game, I still play it, but I put a patch into it, which brings all the players up to date.
Oh,
so
does it? Okay, that's
I'm
good.
actually playing with Christian Romero, but you don't have to talk to other managers and all that stuff you have to do in the modern game.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to Matey Boy about it, but this is apparently what people want. But I remember my younger brother, he's much younger than me, having a ZX Spectrum and putting in a football game. You had to type in the whole program yourself.
Oh, right, okay.
You got what looked like, well, somewhere between a very complicated knitting pattern and the plans for D-Day. And you had to type in every single keystroke of the entire program.
Yeah.
And if you missed one, suddenly Blackpool would win the title.
You don't know that young people don't know the pain today of putting a cassette in a cassette machine and sitting there for half an hour while this thing loads, and then syntax error in code 32 pops up, and your game is not. You do not know pain until you've done that. But when it worked, it was amazing.
You could argue that they do not know pain, but equally, we don't know the pain of having to pretend you're living a perfect life on TikTok.
Exactly.
So it works both ways. You've got youngsters. You know what the pressure must be like.
They all know where to put their legs and their chins in photos, Danny. I don't know. When I was growing up, I was just like looking down the camera, and now they all sort of stand there. Oh, yeah, just take it, and they'll automatically do this thing: hand on hip, leg in front of the other, chin up, and I'm like, what on earth is this?
They're art directing themselves now. So listen,
unbelievable.
If you want to tell us about a computer game that you really, really loved, and I've done this in a 3-part series with Salah Ahmed, produced them here on talkSPORT. They were the biggest hits I've ever had. It was amazing.
Great.
So if you want to really talk about one, 03717 223344. Bear in mind we're pretty packed today though, but 03717 223344, or just text your recollections of any computer, and the more obscure the
do you want a couple? I've got a couple already, and I've got a break, Danny.
1089.
Yeah, Brian Clough's.
Don't worry about the break. You're not coming back anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Brian Clough's Football Fortunes apparently was the best football game. That's Mark in Watford. And Match Day on ZX Spectrum 48K, or the 48K. That was the black one, wasn't it? The bigger black one. That was hard. Was brilliant at the time. Andy, the Chelsea fan. We'll do loads of those.
Absolutely. You're listening to Kelly and Baker. Of course, we're building up to the start of the T20 semi-final in Mumbai between India and England. Darren Gough will join us next. The legend, that is, Darren Gough.
My two goalkeepers are Jordan Pickford, Dean Henderson. I think they both are nailed on to go. Right? So, and if you looked at Nick Pope recently, no. Okay. Even though I think Aaron Ramsdale's better, but it's my opinion.
Right.
Shout out Rambo. Back foot.
Hold on, you only take 2 goalkeepers?
Yeah. Would you need? Do you need more than that?
Yeah, legally you have to take 3.
Legally?
Yeah. It's part of the rules.
Well, I'm going to go Ramsdale.
Right, okay.
I'm
a little bit worried now that you've picked your 26-man squad, and all of a sudden you've just found out you've got to take 3 goalkeepers. Yeah. Right? Ramsdale, because your mate.
So that's Ramsdale, right?
Your mate.
So that,
Rambo.
Right, here we go.
Sorry.
But that's.
Why you got a highlighter pen?
Because these are I've got highlighted the ones that are definite, and the others are more work to do.
Right, okay.
You like that?
Very complex, this, isn't it?
Not really.
Okay, go on.
So I've got a question. So I've got question mark next to Ramsdale and question mark next to Nick Pope, right? As that third string goalkeeper.
Oh, you got. Sorry. This is your 26-man squad.
Yes, but listen.
So nail down the
me
three.
and Joe did this. You just side piece, all right? So you just stay over there. I'm about to ring the
Right,
squad.
I'll just read it out what we do now. Bentley names his 26-man squad.
Thank you. Right, here we
Who
go.
are your three
So
goalkeepers?
Right back.
No, genuinely, you've got to pick your six.
Okay, but it's 26-man squad, right? But some of them are not nailed on. So I can have options, can't I? Thank you, Joe. Honestly, we was
So
sitting
it's
there.
not 26.
Anyway, right back, Reece James, right?
All right.
He's definite, nailed on.
Okay.
I've only got one right back because my nailed on centre halves are Konza, Mark Gahey, John Stones. Konza can play right back and has played right back for England, so he can go out there. I've also got in the squad.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, the football games, computer games are pouring in. I've just seen one that Charlie sent me a picture of. Looks like it's designed by cavemen using flints.
It's called Pele Soccer on Atari 2600. And Dave Graham sent it in. Thank you, Dave. Outstanding graphics, and he sent a picture. And it's literally 3 rectangles in different colours.
I mean, at first I thought it was a sort of pool game or something like that, but it really is.
Do you think Pele did it? Maybe Pele made it himself, Danny.
Oh no, the great man, and you know, it was horrible when he left us. But the great man, he would never resist a pound note. He would put his name to anything.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Listen, it's the semi-final of the T20 World Cup. India play England.
Oh, great! Yeah.
In that stadium in Mumbai. The winners will play New Zealand in the final. The flipping of the coin to decide who's going to go first, I'll call it that given the name of the stadium, has happened. John Norman has all the news.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Just as well Andy Jacobs isn't on duty today, because I don't think you get much out of him. His eyes would be fixed squarely to the screen, because this is an absolute blockbuster match-up between the pre-tournament favourites, as heavy favourites as you're ever likely to see, India against England. Of course, these two know each other so well. Both have reached the semi-final stages in fits and spurts. Neither has shown their best cricket along the way, but they're both here. England come into this game making the one change, with Rayan Ahmed stepping away after his late order heroics saw England over the line against New Zealand. Jamie Overton in for him. India unchanged after their nervy win when they chased down 196 against the West Indies. It's England who have won the toss, and they have decided to bowl first. Suryakumar Yadav saying he would have batted anyway. So both captains happy, a full house in Mumbai, and England just about to get things up and underway. They've won the toss, they're going to have a bowl.
Thank you very much, John. We'll keep you across everything that happens very briefly before we're joined by Darren Gough. Did you see the ball coming out there, Charlie?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I liked that. I
Right,
enjoyed
now,
that.
in most sports, they bring the ball out now. Let's say a rugby ball on a little car that's about 3 times the size of the ball. In this Cricket World Cup, the cricket ball, which of course is not a huge object, comes out on what is virtually a full-size Pantechnicon. A 8-wheeled lorry comes out, but the great thing is it only goes about 4 feet from where it starts to where the umpire picks the ball up.
Yeah.
I would say it's less than 2 meters.
You can't get near the pitch, Danny. Off the pitch, please. Stay off the pitch.
Yes, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this match then, because the winners, as we say, will play New Zealand in the final. To help us understand it, my old colleague from talkSPORT, and of course one of England's great fast bowlers, Darren Gough. Afternoon, Darren.
Hello, Darren.
Hello, guys. My teacher. I've not spoken to you for a long time, Danny. How you doing?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Darren's referring to the fact that the very first broadcasting he ever did was with me.
Wow.
How far he's come then. In fact, he runs a whole cricket county and all the rest of it.
Couldn't have a better teacher.
Darren, I mean, this World Cup has gone on too long. I don't like the way the groups work and all the rest of it. But now that the road has hit the rubber, an amazing game yesterday between South Africa and New Zealand, and I'm every bit as hopeful this could be as good or better. This should be a classic, shouldn't it?
It should be. I thought yesterday's were going to be a classic, actually, but it was an absolute drubbing, wasn't it? I mean, Finn Allen,
what a
talent!
What a hit!
What a talent! And the thing is, I've said this before, but about T20 cricket. Anybody can win this World Cup. We saw Nepal nearly beat England, right? We saw Italy put up a good show against England. But one performance from one individual changes it. And you look down these two teams, India and England, there's so many individuals could go on and just win the game just like that. Butler, what's he got? 70 runs in this tournament, right? We haven't seen the best of him. He could just come out when he bats and score 100 or 40 balls. He could do that, right? Abhishek Sharma for India, he's got 70 runs around that. I think he's got 4 noughts or something, or 3 ducks. But he's another one. He could come on and get 100 off 40 balls. Easy. And then you got Harry Brook. You know what I mean? You've got so many individuals who could come and win the game on its own. I'm surprised England, I think they're going with the law of averages, aren't they? If you chase, you kind of know where you're going to be chasing, and then you somehow think in your head you've got a better chance of winning.
Yeah.
But India, I believe they would have batted first. They're confident. They're on home soil. They get the runs on the board with their bowlers. Because with their spinners, I mean, I think Axar Patel, has been pretty good throughout the whole tournament. I think he's a fantastic cricketer. Chakravarti has not bowled as well as he probably should have. He's tried to mix it up too much, lots of googlies, a bit like Adil Rashid. But Adil Rashid, what he's got over him is so much experience, very in his pace, very in his line. And he's got better and better with it. So Chakravarti is coming quite late, but he tends to be mixing it up too much, where he should be bowling a lot more of his leggies and then surprising them with the other one that goes the other way.
Yeah, that one on that, Darren. Of course, as a subcontinent, spin tends to be dominant, but in Bumrah and Archer, who will only, of course, bowl 4 overs each, could it be that the seamers will be the difference between the two sides? Because the spin attacks both look pretty good to me. Could it be that the opening burst from Bumrah, who's a genius, from Archer, who's brilliant, could change the game?
Absolutely. Again, comes down to individuals. One individual can win the game. We've seen Bumrah do it on numerous occasions. He's probably the best all-format bowler in the world. He's slightly coming towards an end, whether he's going to carry on playing all 3 formats. Archer probably in a similar period of his life as well. Is he going to carry on playing all 3? I think Archer's grown into the tournament and got better and better. There's no doubt about that. I think in the group stages he was average, right? He was getting a bit of tonk around the pitch. Bumrah has been excellent, and he is such a big player for them. Their big risk is Hardik Pandya. He bowls with a new ball a lot of the time. He does swing it, but he can be hittable. But he's got a lot of experience. Arshdeep Singh as well, the left armer. I think he's an underrated bowler. He hasn't got much pace, but he mixes it well. Got lots of experience from the IPL. And I think you might be right, I think whichever team seamers bowl the best, which is, we're kind of going against the grain, aren't we, in India?
Yeah, we are.
Whichever seamers tend to bowl the best, I think might win the game. And I think that's why England have gone for Jamie Overton to come back in rather than Rehan Ahmed. Surprised me a little bit, but I kind of like it because what Jamie Overton does is brings you that depth at the back end. Yes, Rehan Ahmed played brilliant the other night. He was super.
Amazing knock, yeah.
He is. But he tends to do it mainly against spin. What Overton does, he hits against seam and spin. And he's a strong man, and I've seen him hit some long balls. And he also can bowl in the middle overs, and he can do it really well. He's got lots of slow balls. So I kind of like that as well.
Darren, thank you very much for your expertise. I know you'll be watching intently, and it's great to see you again, my friend. Darren Gough there. God, if he was playing for England, I'd make them favourites.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not just saying it because he's listening. It's true. It's
He
an
was.
amazing one-day bowler
He was
because
brilliant.
of that endless Yorker that he could get under the
One
bat.
of those players that if he was in the team, you always had a chance because he'd always bring the momentum and the energy. Brilliant.
Yeah, listen, thank you very much indeed. You're listening to Kelly and Baker here on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Your next stop, Toolstation.
Manchester United defender Harry Maguire has today been handed a 15-month suspended sentence by a Greek court following an incident on the island of Mykonos. Way back in August 2020, actually, Maguire initially was given a suspended sentence of 21 months and 10 days in prison after being found guilty of repeated bodily harm, attempted bribery, violence against public employees and assault. The very next day, Maguire and his legal team lodged an appeal against that verdict. The appeal nullified his conviction and meant there would be a full retrial. The retrial was postponed on not one, not two, not three, but 4 occasions between 2023 and 2025. It finally started over in Greece today, and it concluded Maguire was guilty of non-serious assault, resisting arrest and attempted bribery. As I say, the sentence is 15 months suspended. Speaking to sources close to Harry Maguire, he continues to deny any wrongdoing and plans to appeal this verdict at the Supreme Court. He's also turned down, we're told, a number of opportunities to settle the case out of court, and he's determined that he'll clear his name legally. Now, Maguire wasn't part of these legal proceedings over in Greece. He's been preparing for Manchester United's big game away at Newcastle tonight. They have the opportunity to cement themselves in the top 3 in the Premier League. And he picked up an injury at the weekend. I'm told Maguire is expected to be involved. So that's the very latest as we have it.
Championship playoffs will include teams which finish 7th and 8th from next season. Simon Jordan has told talkSPORT why he believes that decision has been made.
It creates more broadcaster engagement. It's about money. This isn't about expanding the league and making it more opportunistic to get in the Premier League. This is about more games and being able to go to the broadcasters and go, look at this unique product here, this playoffs.
Well, the teams who finish 3rd and 4th will go straight to the semi-finals. The next 4 teams will play a one-legged quarter-final with the 5th and 6th place sides at home. Elsewhere, in the Premier League, we understand City are going after Elliot Anderson. They see him as a potential Rodri replacement. Forest value Anderson at £70 million. Now, after talkSPORT's Alan Pardew said an Arsenal title would need an asterisk next to it due to their playing style, David Moyes has sprung to the Gunners' defence.
I think Mikel's done a brilliant job. And I hear quite a lot of criticism of Arsenal, and I quite often, when you're in football and you actually know what happens and how it works, and you boys are in it, They are doing amazing to be leading the league.
At the other end of the table, Arsenal's North London rivals are just a point off the bottom three. Neil Warnock's blaming what he calls a toxic dressing room.
Some of the Tottenham players, the ability they've got, and yet they use it when they want to use it. And I just think it's criminal, for the manager.
Spurs host Palace tonight.
How often are all these teams that are involved in relegation, involved in Europe, involved in the title race, going to be playing at exactly the same time?
The Villa 1, Chelsea 4, João Pedro hat-trick on 64 minutes. And wouldn't you know it, Bukayo Saka has already made us eat our words. It's Brighton 0, Arsenal 1.
It's a professional, functional display. They're good, they're strong, they're powerful, but there is nothing beautiful about them.
Oh, what a goal! What a goal! A winner! A wonderful world-class goal! Down to 10. Michael Carrick cannot believe it. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester United 1.
Full-time whistle is gone, and how pivotal could this be in the title race for the Premier League? Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 2.
Arsenal are going 7 points clear at the top of the table, and surely that first Premier League title in 23 years is heading to North London.
Yeah, as Adrian said there, when are you going to get so many of the teams involved in the top and bottom of the table playing together in one evening? It was a rumbustious night of football. It was. Lots of things happened. None of them happened in favour of Tottenham Hotspur, but we'll come on to that later. To try and make sense of the whole evening, we're joined by our great friend Scott Minto, the former Chelsea and West Ham defender. Good afternoon,
Hello,
Scott.
Minty. Afternoon, chaps. I've actually really enjoyed listening to you, taking me back to my days as a kid back in the 70s and 80s.
What was your favourite football computer game?
To be honest with you, it wasn't a football one. It was an American football one. It was John Madden.
John Madden's, yeah. Good stuff.
Really sort of basic. But look, Pac-Man and Space Invaders were for me the ultimate.
But Scott's in a position where he could play as himself, Danny.
Yeah,
could have signed himself.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and of course you pick up the old disc now. You can see how you were rated, Scott, by the people that put together things like Football Manager, Minto, heading 3. I mean, that's not good, is it? And that's 3 out of 20, Scott.
Do you know what? There was a time where I had an ankle operation at Chelsea and I got caught up in the Football Manager. So I did used to play that. And it was almost like you're thinking, well, this is really important. I've got to concentrate on this. Oh, no, actually, I should work on my ankle.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, now they put a thing on the Football Manager that tells you how long you've been playing and whether you're addicted or not. Oh. Lightweights. Absolute lightweights. I've spent whole weeks, lost weeks in football and championship manager.
I think they keep a tally of how many marriages it's cost. Right. Football Manager
Scott,
we should probably talk about football.
You have to know, Scott's talked himself out of a job because there's been a wicket in the cricket. John Norman.
20 for 1, and India have lost Abhishek Sharma. One man out on the leg side, and Phil Salt did not have to move an inch. Sharma picking him out at deep wicket. He goes for 9. Will Jacks, what a series he is having, has struck at 24 for 1, start of the 3rd over, India.
Great.
Okay, Scott, well, you're back on now. We'll start at the top of the table. A brilliant night for Arsenal, whatever about people going on about the way they play. Not a good result for Manchester City, but is it a defining night for Arsenal?
We won't know until we look back at the end of the season. I think they are 2 massively drop points, because don't forget, coming into this sort of midweek, it was in Arsenal's hands, but it was also in City's hands, because they're playing each other in the league. Now it's back just in Arsenal's hands, and for the last 3 years they've been the bridesmaid, never the bride. They haven't won the Premier League for 22 years. If I were, and I'm not, anything connected to Arsenal Football Club, I would not care what was being said about me, tactics, set pieces, the amount of time that they take. It's all about just getting over the line. And you know what? It's not pretty. It's not aesthetically beautiful. But they've got good enough players where if they do get over the line now, they can really kick on next season. But the first one's always the hardest.
What about your old club, Chelsea? I mean, sometimes I feel like their selection over the past 2 seasons has been like rolling a dice, because they've had so many players come in and out of the club, many of them young and learning their trade. But when it clicks, it really clicks well. And João Pedro is arguably, along with Cole Palmer, the pick of all those transfers they've made in recent times.
Yeah, I think he's been sensational. He was brilliant in the Club World Cup. I think he had a bit of an injury, a bit of a niggle during the first part of the season. Now he hasn't. He prefers playing as a 9 more so than a 10, but he can play any of those sort of front 4 positions. And he has been just absolutely sensational. I've been saying for a long time, Cole Palmer just needs to somehow find a way to get 3 or 4 90 minutes under his belt, and then you'll start seeing the best of him. I think the same for Reece James as well. He's probably played more minutes this season than he has in the last 3 or 4 seasons. And I think when you add them all up together, there's still that. I actually fancy Chelsea to go to Villa Park and win. 1, because Villa are in a bit of a free fall at the moment, but 2, Chelsea are playing well. My worry was conceding soppy goals. So after 2 minutes when they conceded that goal, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, again. But to come back in that atmosphere and win so convincingly, that was a brilliant performance, and I'm really pleased for Liam as well.
I thought we saw the worst of VAR last night at that, but I thought Chelsea looked sharp, they looked clinical. Yeah, are we seeing how Liam wants them to play? Do you think he's been there long enough now to get his ideas across, Scott?
Not exactly, because, if you think about how many actually days he's been able to get on the training ground, there's not been many, but I thought it was a big statement really to drop Robert Sanchez, someone who he's known from his Brighton days back in the day. But actually, he did have a bad game against Arsenal, and I don't think he is capable of playing, although I think a lot of Chelsea fans don't want the Coopers playing out from the back as if they're the number 10. I think Jurgensen's much better. Mike Penders is at Strasbourg, but he's on the books. We'll see when he comes over to Chelsea. But I just thought that was it was a really good win, and it was a really important win for Chelsea, because I thought they played well against Arsenal, but I was getting worried now that the race for the title was a brilliant one still, but the race for the Champions League places, one of the big boys is going to miss out here. And I just thought that was a statement win for Chelsea.
Yeah, and that was a huge win for Newcastle United last night as well, in that race for the Champions League and the European spots. Great goal to win it. Worthy of winning any game, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, they were down to 10 men.
Yeah, amazing, yeah.
Newcastle. I think that the Champions League spot's probably a bit too far from them, but Europe for sure. And obviously they've got the Champions League coming up next week as well. But I feel that they're kind of back, that they are now. They were in the early part of the season, they were struggling to combine the Champions League and the Premier League, and now they're kind of doing it. I thought even when they lost to Manchester City, they played really well, but that was a blow for Manchester United and Mickey Carrick for sure. The first defeat, and now they have to bounce back.
And another of your old clubs, finally, Scott, West Ham closing in on Nottingham Forest and Leeds.
Well, Danny, you're not going to like what I'm about to say, because I was at Craven Cottage at the weekend where the scoreline absolutely flattered Spurs. I wasn't sure about Igor Tudor. Then I watched him in the press conferences. And I like the way you're thinking, yeah, this could be my leader, this could be my general. He was asked the question by Tom Barkley in The Sun as to, do you feel you've got the right soldiers? And he kind of smirked a bit. And that's the major problem. West Ham go to Craven Cottage just a few days later and find a way to win ugly. Listen, this tonight is an absolutely massive game for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. They haven't won yet in 2026. Sorry, I know you're smiling there.
No, I'm
2026. The new managers come in. There's been no new manager bounce at all. I don't blame
splat.
Well, absolutely, but at some point the players have to look at themselves. But you know better than me, Danny, that football club.
No.
It's been going on for years. Mourinho, Conte.
It's a mess.
Nuno
It's a
Espirito
mess.
Santo wasn't given the chance. And Thomas Frank. Now look at Igor Tudor. If you finish 17th, take that all day long. But from top to bottom, things have to change. And we've been hearing this now for almost a year with I can't say the new owners, but the people who seem to be putting themselves forward now. The ENIC, of course. They have to put their hands in the pocket and sort this out.
Well, they may be doing it in the Championship, where they'll find that their share of a multi-billion pound club is worth multi-billions less. But of course, that's been their lookout. All I can do is scream at the television for Spurs to do better. Scott, as always, a joy. Thank you very much.
Scott, thank you.
Indeed. And if you want more reaction from Wednesday's Premier League fixtures, you can catch up on all the fallout from last night with Angelina Kelly and European football expert Dougie Critchley in the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast, available on all podcast platforms and the talkSPORT app.
Could it be the end of Igor Tudor?
Well, there's certainly a few whispers to that effect. I've got to say, I've been making some inquiries this morning and I've been met with a little bit of a wall of silence. So I've not been able to stand up these rumours. But I understand it. I went quite strong on this in our show on Sunday when we were going around the grounds and Tottenham were losing at Fulham. I think already this looks like a disastrous appointment. And I'll tell you why. Igor Tudor was brought in because of his reputation for being a firefighter. I think he won his first game at his previous 5 clubs, obviously lost heavily in the North London derby, lost again at Fulham last weekend. And he seems to be going down the route of calling out his players. Now, he's probably right, by the way. These players are underperforming. They don't have the best attitude from the outside looking in. But if you're an interim manager, Danny, is that the way to get the best out of the players? They're really going to listen to a guy they know won't be there, well, maybe beyond the end of this game, let alone the end of the season?
Some players would be more dismissive than others, I think, in that respect. I don't think it's a problem him having a pop at the players if he's already had a pop at them himself in the dressing room and just repeating what he said. That's not a big deal for players. My bigger issue with him is more from, it looks, both games I've watched, I was at the Tottenham one at the weekend, didn't look like a group of players who knew what their jobs were or what they were trying to do. Normally it's quite easy to see what they've been working on. The formation against Arsenal with the 3 at the back, they were all over the place. I know Arsenal a good side, but still some of the defending was woeful. And to go and play 4-4-2 with 2 big lads up top, Mawani and Solanke, and just not get them the ball and not pick any... There was 3 lads in midfield who were all athletic and tenacious, and they didn't play any...
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, or gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
We're getting ready. We're about to hear the Cheltenham roar. My goodness me, that's as loud as I've heard it for a long time. We're off and running then at this year's festival.
That is insane! That is insane! Lorcan Williams doesn't know what to do! Oh my goodness, this horse should not even be running in this race!
I love Cheltenham. It is the best of the year.
This is a heartfelt moment!
He produced when I need him at the last, and you know he's a tough animal.
For Galloping Deschamps, it's heartbreak, but he wasn't at his best. But I know your way of thinking. He's definitely at his best.
I can't believe it! How has he managed that?
Roared on! Huge cheer ringing around Prestbury Park.
Now yet another winner for Willie Mullins.
United's going to get up. He's brave. He's as brave as a lion, and he wins by a length.
Come on.
Yeah, I think you know what I'm going to say next. You don't need to go anywhere else for your radio coverage of the Cheltenham Festival. It is brilliant here on talkSPORT. Hawksby and Jacobs will be there all next week. In fact, they'll be in a pub on the Monday before it starts on the Tuesday. I know, Charlie, you're probably getting down there, will you?
I'm there every day, Danny. I go out and about on the course and find all the interesting people and try and interview them and make them sound a little bit less interesting.
No, that's not fair. You just do some of your routine for them, Charlie.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's great. The enthusiasm of everyone on this station for Cheltenham races, it permeates the whole coverage all year, and it's passion. You know, it's passion, and actually everybody you meet there is passionate about the racing and about the sport.
Yeah, and about having a glass of champagne for the
they love that as well. There's passionate drinking going on.
Now, listen, we'll be talking very soon about what we can expect over the next week. Sam Thomas, who, of course, partnered Denman to that legendary victory in the Gold Cup in 2008. First, though, it is all happening at rocketing speed in Mumbai. Let's get back to the T20 semi-final and John Norman.
Yeah, what a start to this second semi-final. 55-1 India, start of the sixth over, so they've got 5 deliveries left of the power play. The one wicket going the way of Will Jacks. Abhishek Sharma continuing his poor T20 World Cup. Picking out Phil Salt at deep mid-wicket to go for 9. But England have given the most almighty of all almighty let-offs to Sanju Samson, the man who had the best day of his life in the win over the West Indies. Dropped as simple a chance at mid-off as you're ever going to see by Harry Brook, of all people. Put down on 15, 24 for 1, should have been 24 for 2. Well, Sanju Samson is going at a strike rate of 200 now. He's 35 from 17. Ishan Kishan is weighing in with some runs himself. And as we approach the end of the power play, India find themselves 59 for 1.
Yeah, England's fielding has been somewhere in the general area of unacceptable in this tournament, and that is going to cost them. I just know it is. You can see the way that Samson is playing now. He knows he's had a let-off.
Catches win matches, Danny.
Listen, we've eaten into the time we wanted to devote to Sam Thomas, as I say, won the Gold Cup at Cheltenham in 2008 on the back of the wonderful Denman. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
Sorry, team. How are we doing? Okay.
Yeah, good. Thank
you.
Yeah,
Really good.
excited.
And thank you so much for joining us. That's the question. How excited? We're all madly excited. How excited are you?
It's very different now that we're training, and yeah, look, it's nice to be able to actually go there this Cheltenham with some runners that have hopefully got some each way chances, but that brings its different pressures as well. So yeah, we're sort of nearly there now, and hopefully we've got sort of 3 runners all being well.
How do you taper as a trainer? Is that do you taper off, or do you build up the work they have to do? How does it work?
No, I think look, I'm still new to getting these horses to the big meetings, so yeah. I think if I can sort of take anything from other trainers, I think it's just keeping it the same as normal. Don't try and do anything especially different. Maybe one thing we've probably done is maybe done their last bits of work a little bit sooner to give them more of a time to freshen up, if that makes sense for their races. Whereas before we might just work them up to the Tuesday if they're running on the Saturday or even the Thursday. So like I say, it's just a question of getting the horses there. Really is the most important part in whatever way you can do that.
Sam, I don't want to frighten you, but if I look out the window, I'm broadcasting to you from Southern Ireland. If I look out the window, I can see a hill, perhaps a mile away. On the other side of that hill is Willie Mullins' yard. Yeah. What's the story with Mullins? Do you try and learn the secrets of what they're doing, or try and avoid the races where their horses are running?
Bit of both, I suppose. But look, I mean, he's sort of revolutionised the way, I suppose, people look at training and how people do it over the last 20 years, maybe.
In what way? I'm really interested. How has he revolutionised it?
I suppose in his facilities and the way he trains. He's got a very deep gallop, which I suppose people would have maybe shied away from. Back along, and I'm still a young trainer, and certainly something that I'm sort of seeing more of now with every trainer that you see. Everyone has their deep gallop, but I suppose Willie's just brought it all up to another level, really, with the quality and the quantity that he has. I've been fortunate enough to have ridden out there and have a good look round, and you only have to go into any of his barns and you'll see 2 or 3 plus horses rated 140 plus. And any one of those horses would be, a real sort of, a real feature in anyone's yard. But he's just got so many of them.
Sorry, a deep gallop. I don't know if I'm being thick. Could you explain what that is?
You are. I don't know what it means either.
That's the depth of the surface the horses are cantering on. So literally the depth of their hooves and their feet are going into the gallop. Sure. And so that brings sort of a lot of stamina with it, and it's just generally harder work. It's just like you going to run on the sand or going to run on the tarmac.
Training on the beach, sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So his gallop
Sam,
is very good.
Well, a bit of local knowledge for you. Those deep gallops, or whatever you're calling them, they have been wet for the past 8 weeks. So there'll be a very, very tricky surface for training on. Tell us about the 3 horses you've got and what your expectations are, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been one to sort of try and avoid Cheltenham unless the horses deserve to go there, really. And Steel Alley's our first horse on Tuesday. He's been really impressive all season and taken to jumping fences very, very well. And yeah, look, he's been impressive in every run. We haven't been racing up against the quality that we're going to meet on Tuesday, and as a result, we're still about 16 to 1. We've got about £10 in the weights to find with Lulamba, who's obviously one of the favourites for the race. But like I say, we were sort of going there with an each way chance. He jumps well, and I think we're quite realistic. Hopefully, if anything happens to the fancied horses, we'll be there to pick up some pieces.
Brilliant.
Good luck, Sam.
Listen, you can only wish.
Yeah, that's Tuesday.
Yeah, listen, Sam, thank you very, very much to you. Sorry, we got cut off there a little bit. I'm just going to advise Sam, Charlie will be at Cheltenham. It'll probably be around the
I might go and
owners
try and find
and
him.
trainers.
Yeah.
And Sam shouldn't avoid you just because of that moustache.
Oh, no.
You're not as weird as you look, I think it's fair to say. Is that fair? That's so rich coming from me. Talk about people in glass houses.
Danny, I really am as weird as I look.
Listen, when we come back, we'll be doing all kinds of things, including Charlie will be reading out some of the, I'm just counting, nearly 14,000 texts we've had about electronic, computer football. football games. You're listening to Kelly and Baker here on talkSPORT. The cricket's going mad. We're going to try and keep up with all the events that's going on around the sporting world. Stick with us till 4 o'clock.
I've got some sad news in the Cundy household, mate.
Go on, what's happened?
So the lucky Mr. C took our little dog out, Crumble, a little small Bichon, took him
Crumble.
out. His name's Crumble. Took him out for a walk on
Bit like Chelsea.
Saturday morning, and he's running around like you're happy as a And all of a sudden, she noticed that Crumble's having a bit of a limp up. He looks like he's
crumbling.
He wants to come off. He's giving one of them with his front paws.
Yeah. Well, he's limping about.
He's limping about, mate, and. So she brings him home, and I don't know what's wrong with him. She took him to the vets yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Done a cruise ship.
What?
Crumble's done a cruise ship, right? Seriously, right? He's out for the rest of the season, poor little thing. He's out for the rest of the season.
Crumble's crumbled.
Crumble's crumbled, mate. Well, it's not a proper Cundy dog unless you have a problem with your leg.
I mean,
right?
That sums your household up.
It sums up the Cundys,
You
mate.
got no knees in you and no knees in the dog.
So the dog, I didn't even know dogs had cruciates. I had no idea. It's the first thing. So my wife's with the vet, and he's having a little fiddle about, and he turns around and he says,
"Oh yeah,
have you got pet insurance?" It's never a good sign when
That's
they say
not
that.
no.
Luckily, we do have pet insurance. But he's having an operation on Thursday, mate.
Oh, is he all right though?
No, he's not. He's not,
no.
mate. He's feeling he's a bit withdrawn, feeling very sorry for himself. He's out for the rest of the season. His World Cup hopes are finished.
He's over.
They're over, mate, for little Crumble dog.
He's absolutely crumbled.
He's crumbled,
poor little thing.
I know.
Yeah, absolute mountains of stuff to get through in the second hour of today's edition of Kelly and Baker, including football and build up to tonight's game between Spurs and Crystal Palace in North London, and much else besides. Before any of that, though, we should get some sport headlines for you, and they come to you in our talkSPORT from Will Hobbs.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
They do. Thank you, Danny. Good afternoon. Let's go straight to the action in Mumbai. A monster of a game. England versus India, T20 World Cup semi-final. England on the back foot. John Norman.
Looking a little ominous for England. India going at 10 and over. 73 for 1. Sanju Samson, 46 not out from 25 deliveries. He was put down badly by Harry Brook mid-on. Kishan is alongside him. Dawson and Rashid with ball in hand now. So spin at both ends. India 73 for 1.
Thank you, John. Elsewhere, EFL clubs have voted to expand the Championship playoffs down to 8th place from next season. 3rd and 4th will go straight to the semis. The next 4 teams will play a one-legged quarter-final with the 5th and 6th place sides at home. Simon Jordan's a big fan and sees more to come.
No, I'm surprised we're not talking about playoffs or the relegation scenarios. That'll be the next conversation.
Do you think that'll come?
I don't think it should.
Now we understand Man City are going after Nottingham Forest's Elliot Anderson. He's seen as a potential replacement for Rodri. Forest value Anderson at 70 million. Tonight it's a battle of two very unhappy managers as Spurs host Crystal Palace in a search for their first win of the year. Neil Warnock says he has every sympathy for Igor Tudor.
I have to laugh at the Tottenham stuff at the minute. They have Thomas Frank and they change the manager. And I look at the manager that's coming and I think to myself, don't they know it's not the manager, it's the dressing room, isn't it?
100%.
The dressing room's toxic, isn't it?
Spurs, of course, are currently just a point from safety. And ahead of this weekend's F1 season opening race in Australia, Aston Martin principal Adrian Newey admits their cars are not ready. He says the steering wheel is vibrating so much the drivers will get permanent nerve damage. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister is about to give an update on the Iran crisis, and failed asylum seekers could be offered tens of thousands of pounds to leave the UK. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Correction from earlier, Tottenham are 1 point from the relegation zone. The weather across Scotland and Northern Ireland, rain moving slowly southeastwards. West Wales and the west of England seeing showery rain developing. Elsewhere, a mild and sunny day.
I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain.
America.
Desert, you can remember.
One of their two great records. The other one's called Ventura Highway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Everyone knows this one. Ventura Highway is equally good. And of course, let's call it what it is, their attempt to impersonate Neil Young.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's what it sounds like. Is he on it at all, Dan?
No. He was otherwise engaged when they were impersonating him.
So I know Neil Young changed his band every 5 minutes, doesn't he? Every tour.
Well, he keeps going back to Crazy Horse, but he does like to have a whole new group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Danny Kelly, sitting in for Max Rushton, who's sitting in for Paul, who I think is probably sitting in for John Gaunt or someone. I don't know how that works. And with me, of course, is Charlie Baker here on talkSPORT. And what's turning out to be a brilliant afternoon to be doing sport. We're reviewing everything that happened in the Premier League last night. We'll be looking forward to that gigantic game in North London tonight between Spurs and Crystal Palace. John Norman will keep us up to date with the semi-final of the T20 World Cup. And we will, of course, go through the desert on a horse with no name. I never understood a problem this, because you're going through the desert on a horse with no name. Then they say, because in the desert, there's no one to give you no name. But you're there, you could name the horse.
You could name the horse, and actually might give you a bit more we saw that in Castaway with Tom Hanks, Danny. He names the ball Wilson. He names
Wilson!
You could at least... Do people want to name the horse with no name this afternoon? They're welcome to do that. 8:10:89 that you're going through the desert on.
Yeah, but apparently there's no one to name the horse, but you're there. Come on, don't be so lazy. Right then,
12 and over we're going at, Danny. 12 and over, it's no good.
No, they'll probably increase it from there. Right then, listen up. The biggest question for next week isn't who's winning the Gold Cup. It's whether Alan Brazil will actually make it to the breakfast show. Of course, that advert is sending shivers through me, Charlie, because for 15 years I was the presenter who lived nearest talkSPORT in central London. So when Alan would not pitch up, I would get the phone call at perhaps 4:45, maybe 5:30. Could I get in? And of course I was 10 minutes away. I was delighted to do it, and I love Alan and all that. But it would be some of those mornings I had only just got in when the phone went, a bit like Alan himself. Right. So now Alan's fate is in your hands.
Oh, yeah.
We've just launched Project Cheltenham, a brand new mobile game where you have to help Big Al beat the odds to get to air on time. It's a fast-paced sprint through the carnage around Cheltenham. You've got to dodge the detours and distractions while grabbing power-ups from his wife Jill and some talkSPORT superstar presenters. Ali's definitely in there.
Ray Parler's in there.
Can you get into the studio? Play it right now on your phone by visiting talksport.com/game. That's talksport.com/game. Go on, get playing.
You know,
Now,
Danny, you know me. I'm an enthusiastic guy, but I'm also a poo-pooer, a naysayer at things, and I will tell the truth on the radio. When I heard about this, I went, "Oh no, what's this now? This is a classic talkSPORT thing. It's really good." If you've played Temple Run, if you've ever played Temple Run on your phone, that's what it's like. But the graphics are funny, the script's funny. Ray Parler turns up, Ali McCoist, Jill Brazil turns up on it.
That's the funniest moment.
That's
when
the
Mrs.
best moment.
Brazil
And the orthopedic shoe. Jill Brazil and the orthopedic shoes is the Harry Potter sequel we didn't know we needed.
I mean, the first time that orthopedic shoes have featured in popular culture since.
Oh, I don't know, Danny. Go on.
The Philadelphia soul group, the Stylistics, had a big hit with a song called Rock and Rolling Baby. And then at the end of one verse, it goes, diddly dum, in your orthopedic shoes for no reason. Yeah, it does.
Never heard that.
Orthopedic shoes. I'm sure it's Rock and Rolling Baby by the Stylistics. Now, the story of Alan's electronic game set us going earlier on.
Yeah.
When Charlie asked you, we were talking about those. It's been. This is the problem, isn't it? We're nearly 50 years, half a century into the world of electronic football games, and some of them were great, some of them were not so great, and some of them were downright risible. Charlie, you've had so much responses.
So much response, yeah. Tom's been in touch. You guys need to know about a game for PlayStation called Red Card. It was a football game, and on the front cover it had Vinnie Jones. Now, this is normally the thing, isn't it? They've got hold of a player and gone, "We'd like to make a football game for you, Vinnie Jones." What should we call it? Well, Red Card. And on the front, grabbing an opponent's private parts like he did. On the game, you played football, but it did all the tackles in slow motion. And you could drop kick people and all sorts. And it did those in slow motion too.
Couldn't do that now, Charlie.
You wouldn't be able to do that now, exactly. No. You get more points for doing brutal tackles. It was brilliant.
That sounds good.
Well, Tom's a Leeds fan, so yeah, you would enjoy that, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
right up
reality
history.
for Tom, isn't it? Yeah.
My favourite. Well, lots of shouts for sensible soccer.
It was wonderful, yeah.
Ultimate Soccer Manager on the Commodore Amiga. Similar to football. Yeah, as soon as one gets successful, everyone goes, right, make one like that. But on that one, you could build your own stadium. That's Craig in Windsor. Barry, the Hull City fan's got a slightly different one, Danny. Computer game Strip Poker on the Spectrum.
Okay.
But it was pointless because there was no benefit to winning because of the graphics. Barry, grow up, Barry. For goodness sake. Dirty boy.
But here he is, 30 years later, he still can't forget that the graphics were no good.
Yeah, remember that when you're a 14-year-old boy, Strip Poker on the Spectrum.
Take off your pixels.
Imagine how sad it would be if you, oh no, I've lost, I better take my clothes off. Sat there we are. My favourite game of all time, this is Aaron, is Rockstar Ate My Hamster on Commodore 64, but don't remember it. But favourite football game was International Superstar Soccer for the N64. That was good. This is Mazrat, the Man United fan. That was good. International Superstar Soccer. Like a lot of these things, they add a glitch that once you found it, you didn't spend the game trying to play football. You spent the game trying to get to the point on the pitch where you could hit the glitch and you knew you would score. That would be how it would work. Emlyn Hughes International Soccer was an amazing game, and I nailed it, says Carl. That sounds good.
I do remember once for an experiment, I was playing Football Manager, and I decided to pick the weakest 11 from the squad I possibly could, including 3 goalkeepers, and I put them all out on the left-hand touchline just to see what the result would be. Do you know what? I lost all faith in professional football coaches after that, because although we conceded 37 goals, we actually scored.
Yeah.
So anybody can get a goal.
You can get a goal going.
Attention, Tottenham. Anybody can get a goal.
This is football on PlayStation 2. Awful graphics, but a button you could press, which was a leg-breaking tackle every time. With a straight red card for your hard work. There we are. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Far, so good. Listen,
millions of those coming in. Thank you very much.
Yeah, keep those coming in, indeed. We'll keep you up to date with this semi-final in the cricket, which I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I know that conceding 12 and a half and over is probably not going to help, is it?
Not great, Danny, no.
Let me remind you as well that with the World Cup's 98, count them, days away, the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. As Matt Ford and Lloyd Griffith speak to former USA goalkeeper Brad Friedel. They discuss the impact fans can have supporting you at a World Cup and also which rival fans are the most intimidating to face. Here's Friedel recalling an incident with Burnley fans during his time at Blackburn in the East Lancashire derby.
Do you remember any of the things that were said to you by fans?
I used to like to have banter with the fans, and I would like, if they would say something, I might say something back to them, and I was always friendly with them. Playing Burnley away, and I felt I got hit with something on the shoulder. The game's going on, and then I looked down, and it was a brown bag, and it was wet, and it had split apart, and it was feces in it. And this is Blackburn, and I'm just hoping it was dog feces. I mean, if there's an actual adult human being that did that, then that's, I mean,
planned it, went through with it.
Yeah, and then threw it at me, and I was like,
good shot.
Yeah, and then I kicked it. Yeah, good throw, good aim.
There we are.
Yeah, don't forget you can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel, listen to it on the talkSPORT app or wherever you get your podcast, which reminds me of that American goalkeeper story. A million years ago in the 1998 World Cup, Charlie, now given what's going on in the world, bear in mind this has been going on for decades. I was asked when I was working for Radio 1, myself and Danny Baker, which game would you like to go to in the World Cup then, you two? We said, they thought we'd choose England. Oh, no, USA-Iran, that's the game for us.
That's the game, yeah, great.
We went there. It was a madhouse. I don't need to go into it. Suffice to say that the proceedings to the kickoff had to be blacked out in Tehran. They made out there was a power cut. Everybody in the stadium, except myself and Danny, was either a dissident or a member of the Iranian Secret Services. And they all had moustaches like yours, oddly enough, Charlie.
I could have passed for it.
It was an absolute madhouse. Cut to a couple of months later, and on my Channel 4 show on telly, Casey Keller is there. I say, Casey, I was there, blah, blah, blah. You cannot have been in a more intimidating atmosphere in your entire life. He leaned back in the chair and went, Danny, I played for Millwall for 4 years. There's been a wicket in the cricket. John Norman.
Oh, thankfully, some respite from the boundaries that have been smashed from England bowlers from the last 4 or 5 overs. 117 for 2, and it's Adil Rashid, that man again, who has struck right when England needed about 4 overs ago. But essentially, it's Ishan Kishan. He's come down the track, and he's just tried to smash Rashid over long off. He's got a toe end on the ball, and the catch has been taken quite comfortably. Sanju Samson is still at the crease, so 66 from 32. Remember, he was put down badly by Harry Brook from the bowling of Jofra Archer when on 15. That could yet be the defining moment of this match. We're not even at the halfway stage of the overs. 9.3 overs in. India already past 100, 117 for 2.
Yes, when I set up my little tablet here, I thought I won't be able to take my eyes off the cricket. Now I wish I could take my eyes off the cricket. You're listening to Kelly and Baker on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation, ready to help at over 580 stations nationwide. Your next stop is Toolstation.
We've got Richard, the Liverpool fan, with us now. Richard, what do you make of Arne Slot's comments yesterday in the manner in the defeat against Wolves?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good morning, which it is for some people. I'm an ardent talkSPORT listener, and I take on board all your comments. The first thing I'd like to say is Simon Jordan cracked it last year when he said it's all right for Slot to win the league with Jurgen's squad. The proof of the pudding will be when he has his own squad. And Gabby's comment about
he should focus on Liverpool playing football, not what he thinks about the rest of the league playing football. And I said before Christmas, we're not going to qualify for Europe. Without a shadow of a doubt, we're not going to qualify for Europe, which would mean we won't have the funding, we won't entice any good players in the summer season, the close season. And I just think Liverpool are going to react to this situation too late. And by the time they react, Alonso will be somewhere else and we'll be left hanging in the wind with no one.
What are you saying? Get rid of the manager now?
I am, because why talk about what the rest of the league's doing when you've got problems of sorting out your own team? He should be focused on getting Liverpool playing football. And it's always, oh, we was unlucky. Oh, we've done this, we've done that. I'm sorry, he's just not got the fibre.
Well, the Premier League seemed to be taking all the limelight last night. Then bang, back comes the EFL with the news that in the Championship next season, the playoffs is going to be extended from 4 teams to 6 in what is, Charlie, an exact replica of what they do in the National League, where, of course, I think pretty much you run the game in the National League these days. To join us to talk about that and much else besides, the former Southend and some other team in North London winger, Adrian Clark, of course, a great expert here on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Hello, Adrian, how are you?
Hey, Clarky.
Hello, Danny, Charlie. Yeah, I'm good. Top of the world. Yeah, loving it.
Let's talk about this playoffs thing. This came out of nowhere as far as I can see. I don't want to lead the jury, but for me, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, look, it hasn't actually come from nowhere. It's been on the table, I think, for quite a few years. They just haven't sort of either got round to voting on it or having enough support maybe for it. I'm torn, a little bit conflicted. I'm completely unsurprised that the EFL have gone down this route because it will obviously create more competitive matches towards the end of each season, bring in a little bit of extra revenue from extra playoff games.
Definitely.
And of course it will keep, of course the clubs will going to vote it in because it's 2 extra lottery tickets, isn't it, to the Premier League. So I'm not surprised. I'm more of a purist. I think that the EFL playoffs are golden as they are, and that if there's anything, and there's lots of things that I probably would change about football, one of the things that I absolutely wouldn't change about it personally, because they're perfect, is the playoff setup in the EFL. I think it's worked amazingly well for years, and I wouldn't have touched it. But I get why the clubs have gone for this.
Yeah. So what happens in the National League is because there's less places going up, because we should have 3 up, 3 down, but we don't. So I'm assuming.
I take it Torquay are third, are they?
No, most of the time we're second. Most of the time we're second and then losing the playoffs. But what happens is second and third are guaranteed a semi-final spot, and then the next 4 down, it goes 4 plays 7 and 5 plays 6. That's how it works in the round, and then it works its way through. What it does is it keeps everyone interested either in a relegation scrap or a promotion scrap, because you can be really bad till sort of February, March, and then make a really good run at it, sort of win 4 or 5 in a row, and you suddenly find yourself near the playoff places or in the playoff places. And those teams normally do really well because they have the momentum going into those playoffs. So you end up with someone who came 8th in the league above.
Yeah, Norwich City are the case in point this year, right? Norwich City have spent most of the championship season fighting relegation. They were awful at one point, but they've turned things around. They're on a great run at the minute. And as it stands, they're 12 points off the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they've got no chance, right? They're not going to finish in the playoffs. They're going to get themselves to a mid-table finish. If this was next year, they'd be 6 points off the playoffs, and therefore they'd be very, very interested in sort of keeping going right until the end of the season. So I do get it. It's just 2 extra games. There's no great harm in it at all. I've been a big fan of the sort of original format, but yeah.
But we're in the entertainment business, right, Clarky? We're in the entertainment business, and it keeps it entertaining for longer.
He's an ex-Arsenal player. He doesn't believe that.
Lovely segue, Danny. Lovely segue.
That's why I've got the big microphone, Adrian. Yeah. Let's talk about that then, Adrian. As an Arsenal man, and I know you still have connections with the club. Look, I should be up in arms about this because I'm a Spurs fan, but I think there's a million ways to skin a cat. It's not how I'd want to see the title won, but I don't care. I mean, if Arsenal get over the line, they are the best team in the league. That's how it works.
Yeah, look, Arsenal are here to win this season. They're not here to make any friends. And I'm absolutely on board with that. Look, it doesn't matter how you win titles. I've watched many title-winning sides down the years produce functional football. I've seen, Chelsea are a prime example, but there have been others that have been labelled clever, streetwise, great at game management. Yet suddenly now that it's Arsenal, it's unacceptable. You have to put an asterisk next to the name of Arsenal if they win the league.
Okay, then, Adrian.
Ludicrous.
Do you find any irony in an Arsenal fan base defending this team to the absolute limit, and that's perfectly within their rights to do so, and the Arsenal fans who used to talk about Stoke as being over-physical and over-reliant on set pieces?
Well, the Stoke thing, it comes down to a leg breaking incident that was a shocking tackle, and Stoke used to kick Arsenal off the park every week, and every fan out there said Arsenal was soft back then, and quite rightly so. Arsenal have had soft teams down the years, and they have been bullied, and they have been weak mentally. Now, Arsenal are none of those things. And this Arsenal team, for me, Danny, is everything that I want it to be. Because they can out-football anyone. Did you see the Bayern Munich game? Did you see the Atletico Madrid game?
Sure.
Did you see, honestly, but they could also stand up for themselves, Danny. And as a supporter, I get as much pleasure out of seeing great resilience, great teamwork, real fight for the badge. And that's what I saw at Brighton last night. And I'm sure that Fabian Herzler was really disrespectful afterwards. I thought it was quite disgusting, some of the things that he said. I think that he would have liked his players to have shown some of the teamwork and resilience and collective spirit that Arsenal showed to get that valuable 1-0 win. I thought that was bang out of order.
I don't agree with you, but let's move on to the next thing to show that I'm unbiased. Is there any chance that Spurs can avoid relegation, Adrian?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. Look, there's still plenty of time, but I've got to say, well, there is time to turn it around. It's how many wins would Spurs need between now and the end of the season to survive? 3, exactly. And look, there's an opportunity tonight to get one of those at Crystal Palace side that aren't in good form, that have lost their best centre back. Lacroix. Well, the best two centre-backs. One of them's playing for Man City at the moment. But so, no, they can turn it around. But if I was a Spurs fan, and I'm glad I'm not, Danny, I would be nervous. I'd be really nervous at the moment, because the thing is, Spurs players weren't ready for this. They're not prepped for it. They're not mentally tuned in for a battle for survival, even though it happened last year. They just weren't expecting it this time around. And the other teams, Forest and West Ham, I think will be, a little bit more used to this kind of pressure.
And the good news is next season they'll have 9 spots to be able to try and come back up, Danny.
Yeah, and we're playing a great local derby against Queen's Park Rangers. No disrespect to the Super Hoops at all. Listen, Adrian, it's been a great crack as always. Thank you very much indeed. For those of you looking to back Willie Mullins' horses in the upcoming Cheltenham Festival, as I say, his yard is literally yards from here. It's now snowing outside. I don't know if that's going to affect his horses, but the snow has begun here in the hills in Kilkenny. I'll keep you up to date with further weather reports from somewhere obscure very, very soon here on talkSPORT.
Game, Chelsea boss Liam Rosenior was asked if he feels there is a disciplinary issue at the club.
No, it's hard to put your finger on it. You have older teams that have disciplinary problems. There's many aspects to what we need to do, but it needs to change. I hold my hands up to that, and it's something we need to start. We're back in tomorrow. We need to have a discussion as a group. We need to make sure that we go into Aston Villa with 11 men on the pitch for 95, 96 minutes to give us the best chance to win the game.
Do you think you've got disciplinary?
No, what do you mean? I don't think I know. I don't think I know. You cannot have that amount of red cards in the season, and they're not. It's not coincidence. Just like the red card with
the Neto one.
Yeah, there's when I was doing the comms, right, and that is a tackle where he's taking him down. He don't want to run in the corner. He's probably Martinez come off the bench. He don't fancy it. He's running. He's like, I don't really fancy change. He's taken a little bit of a cheat's way out. He's brought him down.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to. That's a tackle for someone that's not on a yellow. I don't think he knows he's on a yellow card. I'm not excusing it because it's another cheap yellow card. And the problem you've got, and I've watched every Chelsea game, is we pick up cheap yellow cards. And cheap yellow cards can lead to expensive red ones.
Yeah.
And I see Enzo Fernandez yesterday, Pedro Neto sent off. Enzo Fernandez, our vice captain, gets another yellow card for throwing the ball down, right? That's got to be cut out. Your discipline has got to be on point, and I can't excuse it, and I'm not going to excuse it. It's absolutely terrible. Our discipline record this season is nothing short of shocking.
Championship playoffs will include teams which finish 7th and 8th from next season. Simon Jordan has told talkSPORT why he believes that decision has been made.
It creates more broadcaster engagement. It's about money. This isn't about expanding the league and making it more opportunistic to get in the Premier League. This is about more games and being able to go to the broadcasters and go, look at this unique product here, this playoffs.
Well, the teams who finish third and fourth will go straight to the semi-finals. The next 4 teams will play a one-legged quarter-final with the 5th and 6th place sides at home. Elsewhere, in the Premier League, we understand City are going after Elliot Anderson. They see him as a potential Rodri replacement. Forest value Anderson at £70 million. Now, after talkSPORT's Alan Pardew said an Arsenal title would need an asterisk next to it due to their playing style, David Moyes has sprung to the Gunners' defence.
I think Mikel's done a brilliant job. And I hear quite a lot of criticism of Arsenal, and I quite often, when you're in football and you actually know what happens and how it works, and you boys are in it, they are doing amazing to be leading the league.
At the other end of the table, Arsenal's North London rivals are just a point off the bottom 3. Neil Warnock's blaming what he calls a toxic dressing room.
Some of the Tottenham players, the ability they've got, and they use it when they want to use it, and I just think it's criminal, for the manager.
Spurs host Palace tonight.
Weekend preview on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. For more racing tips, check out their podcast, From the Horse's Mouth, with Ruby Walsh and our own Paddy Power. The podcast for racing fans, by racing fans. T's and C's apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Yeah, it is time. It is time to talk racing now. Here's Ryan McHugh from Paddy Power with all the latest news and odds.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, hi lads. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Looking forward to next week, Ryan.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, only Tuesday now, so not less than a week away to next week's Cheltenham Festival. So yeah, really looking forward to it. There's only 7 races on ITV this Saturday. We build towards the Cheltenham Festival, of course. So the quality isn't the best this Saturday, it must be said, but it doesn't mean there's not competitive action on the track. So there's some very competitive races nonetheless. None more so than the Imperial Cup at Sandown at 2:27. We're paying 6 places online instead of the standard 4. Horse I like in the race is Jack Hyde. He's very lightly raced for his age. Generally a very consistent sort who has some strong form earlier in the season. He carries a nice weight in this. So at a double figure price with ourselves, I thought Jack Hyde was one that could run well in that feature event at Sandown on Saturday. Before then, the 150 on Sandown's card is another really competitive handicap hurdle over 2.5 miles this time. It's 5-1 the field. Laguna Beach for trainer Nicky Henderson is interesting towards the top of the weights. He was beaten at Ascot last time, but he does seem to be getting better with each run, so he may well improve again on his first start in handicap company. There's also a 900 handicap chase at 3:35 that's on ITV. Tune in a Box, I thought, was down to a workable handicap mark in that. He's around an 8-1 chance at the moment. I thought he could run well. ITV also showed 3 races, I should say, from Wolverhampton. But it's all about the jumps at this time of year, with only a few days left till the 2026 Cheltenham Festival kicks off.
Listen, thank you very much for
Ryan. Thank you.
Building up to our excitement of Cheltenham, and thanks to Ryan there. Remember, if you want to keep up with all the latest racing news, Paddy Power's From the Horse's Mouth podcast is available every week, and you can download the latest episode from your usual podcast providers. Right now, it's 18+, from begambleaware.org. There's been another wicket in the cricket.
Yes.
Thankfully, thank goodness, thank God, thank whatever whatever fingers you've got crossed. John Norman
Yeah, and it's Sanju Samson who's gone as well, but not before. He hit 89 from just 42 deliveries, 8 4s and 7 6s, dropped on 15, and that miss filled by the skipper Harry Brook cost England 74 runs. He scored those 74 runs in just 35 balls, so slightly costly. It looks like England are going to be set a massive chase, well in excess of 200. We've still got 7 overs to go. Surya Kumar Yadav, the new batter at the crease, alongside Shivam Dubey. Will Jacks with that wicket, by the way. Catch by Phil Salt at deep cover. Saw off Sanju Samson, who walks off just shy of 100 for the second match in a row, but could it be a Player of the Match award heading his way for the second match in a row? We shall see. 164 for 3 India. We're in the 14th over. England winning the toss and deciding to bowl first.
Yeah, of course, the Rugby League season, the Betfred Super League is underway, up and running now. Why don't we get some view of how the season has started from one of the players who is in a team that's doing well so far. Leeds Rhinos are second as we speak, and we're joined by their winger, Ash Handley. Good afternoon, Ash.
Hey, Ash.
Hey, guys, you all right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, really good. Thank you for joining us. Look, I'm no expert on Rugby League. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'll watch it when it's on the TV, but I don't know much about it. How has the season started, or is it too early to tell who the runners and riders are going to be, Ash?
Yeah, I suppose you would say it's probably a little bit early to be calling, who's going to be up there. Everyone's feeling each other out at the moment. Personally, as a team, we've started quite well. Got 2 wins. We lost the opening round, but we did have a few injuries on that day, so probably couldn't take much from that. But all in all, started pretty well.
Please, Charlie.
Go on, I was just going to say, Ash, you're born and bred in Leeds, and you've been a Leeds Rhino your whole life. How does it make you feel when you step out for the Rhinos?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a massive honour. So I don't think about it as much as the games tick on and go by. But I suppose it'll be something I'll reflect on in my career. Obviously, if I end up staying at Leeds my whole career, then not many people can do that. But it's a proud moment every time I step on the field.
I'm sure.
I mean, the way the salary cap works in rugby league, it was felt, years ago that no one team could dominate. Is that what's actually worked out in the sport now, Ash? Is it always, at this time of the year, are there several teams who genuinely believe they've got a tilt at the title?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, they need to work out ways, and it's probably a few years in the making to try and build squads with the salary cap in place. Everyone sort of comes out of nowhere, and a team has been building for a while. You could maybe say that about Hull KR. They've been building for a few years, and then obviously went on to win everything last year. So they're up there, and it gives everyone a chance, to build the squads if they're willing to. The owners are willing to put the money towards it and back the squad and build a competitive team. Then like you say, anyone could come out of the woodwork and potentially win it.
Yeah, two extra teams this season, of course, including Toulouse, which will be, I don't know if you're playing it, it'll be a nice trip, but for the fans to go to Toulouse and watch will be fantastic. And York Knights, who've had a great start to the season, despite quite a tough start.
Yeah, I think all 3 of the squads that have come up have actually started really well. Bradford started pretty well, and they were a massive side back in the day, and they've started pretty well. Toulouse as well, they've gone really well. But York, I think York could be one of them teams, like we just mentioned there. They're building nicely for, the future. They've signed some good players already this year, so we could potentially be talking about York as a title contender in a couple of years.
Interesting.
I mean, we've seen over the years, Ash, the attempts to internationalise the game, to make it more popular in the south of England. And of course, Toulouse and the Catalans are in the league. But to me, one of its great strengths is just the depth, which people love it in the north of England. I know for commercial reasons they would like to expand the game, but its roots are so deep in the north of England. Let me ask you, well, I hope it's not a stupid question. Can you walk through the streets of Leeds without being recognised?
Oh, yeah, I bet not.
Well, I don't think we'll be recognised as much as the Leeds United players do, but we get recognised a little bit.
I bet.
Do you know, we went over to Vegas last week, and obviously we was a part of the NRL. It's pretty much an NRL event, and Super League have sort of bolted onto that now. We've done it for the last couple of years, and we did an event that was like a launch event with all 6 captains of the 6 teams that were there, and the Aussie lads who were on that could not believe the atmosphere from the English fans and the passion that they were bringing to the event. And I do think that that's one thing that we do have as a sport. Like you said, the passion for the game that the northern people have. It's just unbelievable. And I think like that's the one edge I think that we have over the Australian league. I know like it's a massive sport over there. It's probably one of the most, if not that or cricket, are one of the most watched over in Australia, but they were blown away. The Australian players were blown away by the atmosphere that the English fans were bringing.
Fantastic. I mean,
I used to go and watch.
Go on, Danny.
Sorry.
Go on, Danny.
No, I used to go and watch for professional reasons the London team when they were based at the old Brentford ground at Griffin Park, and it was a very enjoyable Sunday afternoon. But when I went to the north of England and watched rugby league, you realised, oh, this is something completely different, isn't it? It was wonderful. And Ash, listen, good luck on Sunday when the Leeds Rhinos take on the Castleford Tigers.
Thank you.
And you can hear that game live on talkSPORT 2 on Sunday. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. As I say, Rhinos against the Castleford Tigers, and it should be great. Now, thanks again to Ash Handy for joining us here on talkSPORT.
Weekend preview on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. For more racing tips, check out their podcast, From the Horse's Mouth, with Ruby Walsh and our own Paddy Power. The podcast for racing fans, by racing fans. T's and C's apply. 18 plus BGambleAware.org.
Can you hear me, Liverpool? You must have one hell of a beating on his slot. Can you hear me, slot master? You must have one hell of a beating. Van Dijk twerking. The Beatles, the Lima Bird, 100% mode, 100% mode. Can you hear me, 100% mode? You must have one hell of a beat. The Royal Albert, not Ryan, the producer. And on it. Yes, maybe a paper Sonia. The Cavern Club, the Coutinho money. Can you hear me, Coutinho money? You must have one hell of a beating. Jermaine Penn, Liverpool Light Street Station. You'll never want. No. Jamie Carragher, can you hear me, Carragher? You must have one hell of a beating. The miracle of Istanbul. 400 million spent the sun. 400 million spent the sun. Where does that go to your paper? LeBron James, can you hear me, Liverpool? You must have one hell of a beating.
Something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. Liverpool, they bottled it in the final stages against Wolves. Another flat performance. What's going on there? Absolutely shocking. Arnie Slot is giving it about set pieces this week, but they're right up there with the most boring teams in the league themselves. 03717 223344. Rob Edwards, Wolves, they're looking all right. Elsewhere, Everton, they're flying. They play better football than Liverpool. They're playing the best football I've seen in a while. Sunderland, back on track as well. Huge win for them. Leeds fans, bit worried. Still not great. Loads to go at in the Premier League. Can have your say.
guess what? There's been a ball in the cricket in the semi-final where it hasn't been launched into the crowd. Wicket in the cricket, John Norman.
Yeah, second wicket for Adil Rashid, but he's gone for 41 from his 3.4 overs. Surya Kumar Yadav, he just hit him for 6, getting down on one knee, trying to sweep him, and he's missed the ball essentially. He's almost yorked himself, and he's so far out the track. As Joss Buttler completes the stumping, he walks off without looking for the third umpire to make a decision. So Rashid's got 1 ball left of his 4, and England have they've got more than a bit of a problem. They've got a huge problem because they're going to have to get an over or 2 out the way of a bowler that's been very, very expensive. Rashid's now finished his 4 overs. Hardik Pandya, the new batter. Shivam Dubey is 35 from 21, promoted up the order. And this has been absolute carnage. We've only had 1 over of the 16, which hasn't featured a boundary. India 190 for 4.
OK, maybe the fight back starts here.
Maybe
now listen,
Danny.
Yeah, how does a VIP private suite for you and 11 mates for a... I couldn't find 11 mates.
I could find 11, Danny. Will you
at the
come?
cricket. Yeah, I'd come, definitely, yeah. Sound this summer.
1.
Well, time is running out. Thanks to Pitch Experiences, we're sending you to their super box at the Oval for the England against Sri Lanka ODI in total luxury. We're talking about fine dining, your own personal mixologist, private balcony, and a Q&A with cricket legends while you watch the action. It is the ultimate summer day out.
It is. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close this Friday at 4 p.m, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a talkSPORT promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So your chance to win. Text WIN to 83338 now.
Okay, I want to tell you about a pretty fantastic podcast. You know that the Winter Paralympics are starting very soon out there in Milan Cortina, and Matt Stutzman, who is a Paralympic champion and world record holder, he did this before for the sort of Summer Olympics, is now got a podcast talking about the people who will be taking part and some of the great stories that will be emerging from the Winter Paralympics. Right. I'm delighted to say Matt joins us on the line now. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Matt.
Good morning or good evening. How are you guys?
Bang in the middle. Good afternoon, Matt.
How we are, Matt, is delighted to see you and to hear about your podcast. I mean, it's called What Does It Take? Tell people about the podcast.
Yeah, so the idea behind it is to really educate the world what really it takes to be a Paralympic athlete, because a lot of these athletes have gone through something life-changing in their lives that have made them have a disability first that they've had to overcome. Now they're also an elite athlete. So I'm just trying to bring awareness to that fact and bring awareness to the Paralympics, especially the winter, because I don't think it gets enough credit.
I mean, Matt, you won't mind me telling our listeners that what you yourself have done in your life is extraordinary, in that you were born without arms, and yet you are an archery champion and, you know, an archery Olympian. So when you watch the Winter Olympics and I see what people are doing, you think, God, that's amazing. I suppose I should be even more astonished by people doing it who have had to overcome disabilities to produce the kind of skills that we're going to see over the next few weeks.
Honestly, yeah. When I was talking with the athletes, you know, there's athletes that have 5% or less vision, right? So visualize this. You can't see, and you're getting ready to go down a mountain at anywhere from, 100 kilometers an hour to 130 kilometers per hour. And you can't see. Amazing. You are literally relying on the guide and a Bluetooth device to tell you when to turn left, where to turn right, when to stop. Here's a bump, make sure you hit this softly. Like, that takes a lot. And I'm just blown away that there are people in this world that have overcome objects in their life with, to overcoming a disability, yet they're willing to strap in to go down a mountain at 130 kilometers per hour without being able to see.
Yeah. From a sporting point of view, Matt, is there some advantage in being born with what's seen as a disability than to having the disability thrust upon you in your life?
You know, it's interesting because if you would have asked me this before I started talking to these winter athletes, I would have said I believe there's an advantage to having, like for me, I was born without arms,
Sure.
and I don't know any different, right? So at a young age, I can adapt. But I don't think that anymore, because you talk to an athlete who has lost his leg later on in life, or at 19 something happens and they realize that they now have this disability.
Yeah.
I feel like they've lived a little bit of life already without a disability, and now they have the disability, and now they're coming out even stronger because they understand what it was like to not have anything missing or not having a disability. So I think the mindset behind athletes who have overcome that, I feel like come out stronger at the end because they've had to deal with that disability and that mental in their head to get over that first.
Look, your own story is fantastic enough, but some of the guests I've seen lined up here on in front of me have also had the most phenomenal issues to overcome and gone on to be brilliant athletes, to win medals and all the rest of it. With no disrespect to the others, who are some that you would pick out you thought, whoa, they're inspiring?
Honestly, a gentleman named Jack Wallace, because when I was talking with him, he loved the outdoors, and I think he was 10 years old at the time when he lost his leg, and it was a boating accident. So imagine being 10 years old and you're water skiing with your sister, and you accidentally get run over by your dad on the boat, and it severs the main artery in your leg, and you're basically bleeding out. And this was a long time ago, so they didn't have like the cell phone technology. So his dad ended up pulling him out of the water and doing a tourniquet and saving his life. And he doesn't remember much about it, just kind of going in and out of consciousness the entire time. I can't imagine that. Like, that to me is just at 10 years old dealing with that, and then your dad having the mental capacity of understanding that I just ran over my son and now I gotta save his life. Like, that blows my mind. Like, that inspires me every day.
It's a big life story.
I should make the point that the podcast is called "What Does It Take," and it's available across all kinds of things, including the Paralympic Committee and Milano Cortina 2026 channels. So you can pick it up absolutely everywhere. What about personally, Matt? What are one or two of the events that you are? Because for instance, here where I live in Ireland, it's wall-to-wall coverage. What should I be looking out for? What are one or two events or sports that you've already got your eye on, or something that are going to be special?
Well, of course, I call it sled hockey or sledge hockey. Of course, you have to check that out because the United States is going to hopefully try to win. I think it's their 5th straight gold medal. I feel like that's a lot to ask. I mean, that's a lot of games in a row of trying to maintain that. And I feel they're going to have their work cut out for them this game. So I think that's something cool to watch. And believe it or not, I think curling.
Yeah.
Because curling is something for me. I'm an archer and I like precision. And for me, curling is very much a precision, thought out precision sport.
Yeah.
And I think I would lean towards those.
Yeah.
Sounds
and
great.
And of course, once you find out that at that level, where people are really top class curlers, whether Paralympics or otherwise, that all of the curls, the actual rocks, come from the same island off the coast of Scotland. It's incredible. What an amazing story that is as well. As are all the stories on What Does It Take, and I absolutely recommend you to go and listen to Matt's podcast. Matt Stussman there.
Thanks, Matt.
And thanks for him for finding the time. He's obviously very busy to join us here on Kelly and Baker, where you're listening to that self-same programme on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Standing behind every single tradesperson of Britain. Next stop, Toolstation.
Slot's arguments have got a degree of resonance here. He's compared the rise of set pieces to the increase of three-pointers in NBA.
I remember when I was a young boy, a young kid, every time we thought in Spain, when the people say, in England, when it's a corner, the people celebrate it, like a goal, celebrate the corner, a free kick. I remember perfectly when I was a young boy, so nothing changed. But it's true that I think Arsenal dictate a little bit how they do it, and is an important role. And before years ago in NBA, the 3-shot point was not involved as much, like Golden State Warriors, where Stephen Curry started to make 3 points and everyone adapt, and now Celtics do it as well. So many teams. So it's part of the ball, part of the dynamics, and you can say complain, or you have to adapt. And it's part of the game.
Arteta and Arsenal go to Brighton tonight. Brighton boss Fabian Hürzeler has suggested that, set pieces, they're getting a negative reaction, so we maybe need a rule change.
I think because it disturbs the rhythm of the game, and there are no clear rules anymore. How much time you can spend for a corner, how much time you can spend for a throw-in. When Arsenal has a corner and they are leading, sometimes they spend over 1 minute just to take a corner, and therefore I think we just have to make clear rules, because then in the end we have a netto game time of 50 minutes instead of sometimes 65 minutes.
And at corner kicks, of course, we see what happens with all this wrestling amongst players inside the box.
Yeah, we've got plenty to get through in the final hour of Kelly and Baker here on talkSPORT this afternoon, including very, very soon an interview with the legendary, out of nowhere, Happy Mondays. They were in the building, I grabbed them. Of course, that'll be coming up very, very soon. That's after we've had at least the sports headlines. They come to you now from Will Hobbs.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Thank you, Danny. Good afternoon. Let's start at the T20 World Cup semi-final, where it's been a pillaging, punishing, pummelling performance by India in Mumbai, and England have been made to suffer. John Norman.
They are suffering. This has been an absolute madcap couple of overs, though, with India losing a wicket thanks to a dozy bit of non-running by Hardik Pandya, stranding Shivam Dubey for 43 at the non-striker's end. The very next ball, Hardik Pandya tried to hit Sam Curran from India to England, managed to sky the ball, lose the bat, only to see Tom Banton running in from the boundary drop a difficult chance. Jos Buttler's just stepped on the stumps trying to effect a run out. In and amongst all of this has been boundaries galore, with 2 overs remaining in this match. In the first innings of this match, India 216 for 5.
Thank you, John. Elsewhere from next season, 8th place will be enough to qualify for the Championship playoffs. Playoff winning former owner Simon Jordan is a big fan.
But the fact of the matter is that the predominant opportunity is for them to finance it better. But the secondary benefit is that there's more engagement. And as you say, it creates more jeopardy for more sides with more opportunity.
Simon's former club Palace head to Spurs tonight, who are, of course, still looking for a first league win of the year. Ollie Glasner says Igor Tudor presents something of a tactical mystery.
Played in a 3-5-2 against Arsenal and in a 4-4-2 against Fulham. I know him from Marseille because he was Marseille manager when we played them with Frankfurt in the Champions League. There he played in a 3-4-3. He very often mirrored their opposition, so I don't know.
Meanwhile, the FA have charged Pedro Neto for acting in an improper manner after his sending off against Arsenal. He's been alleged to have failed to leave the pitch promptly and to have directed abusive language towards the officials, having been shown the red. And in rugby union, Darcy Graham and Jack Dempsey have returned to Scotland's 15 to face France at Murrayfield, but Xander Fagerson has dropped to the bench. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
4 more British fighter jets are being sent to Qatar amid the conflict in the Middle East, as the first flight to bring Brits home has now taken off, and failed asylum seekers could be offered tens of thousands of pounds to leave the UK. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With expert technicians in all our centres across the country, we'll keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top condition this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Some rain around still in Northern Ireland, West Wales and the west of England, seeing showery rain developing elsewhere. A very mild, mostly sunny day.
Welcome back, everyone, to the third and final hour of
Twisting my melon, man.
Of Kelly and Baker. Charlie Baker's here with me, Danny Kelly. We'll be getting back to the sport very soon, including being joined to talk about Spurs' monstrous game tonight against Crystal Palace. But before that, in the autumn of last year, when it was announced that the Happy Mondays were going to take to the road and go touring again, I was thrown into a kind of reverie of remembrance. When I was editor of the NME in particular, I spent literally half my time thinking about ways we could get the Happy Mondays on the cover, because there was a time when they were, and it's still pretty brilliant, but they were literally the best band in the world.
Yeah, changed it, Danny, and they drove it forward.
Changed everything. And so when I heard that they were in the talkSPORT building, actually over at Virgin Radio, our sister station, doing a little bit of promotion, I said, for God's sake, get the two of them in there. And so it was with great pleasure that I sat down to have a chat with them. They're not my old friends, but the last time I physically spoke to them was in the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. We were in the Blue Lagoon chatting. And so Bez and Sean were dragged into the studio against their will to talk to me, and I started by asking them about their upcoming tour.
I was looking forward to it more than ever now. I mean, we reformed the Mondays back in 1998, so we've been touring since then. But, I mean, it's the 35th anniversary of the album. So even though sometimes it feels like it's 135 years anniversary of Pills and Frills and Belly Aches.
Yeah,
so
great record, of course.
That's why we're doing it. We just take that out and do the full album, and then throw in a couple of other tunes as well. You know, like you do. I suppose I'll ask Bez, what's it like? I say playing, dancing to, being in the Mondays. Is it good fun doing the old songs?
Well, you know what? As soon as I hear them tunes go off, I'm straight into autopilot. I can't even help myself. If I'm out of there, step on, come on. That's it. I'm jumping up and I've set off and oh no, I'm not even on stage. You know, it just happens. Autopilot kicks in and I've got no self-control.
No, well, and why would you want self-control, Bez? It's not. It's not been the thing you've done over the years, my friend. I sat down the other day before I knew we were doing this. I had no idea we were doing this. I mean, this has been arranged at the last minute, and I was playing Lazy-itis, and I must have played it 10 times, one after another. Believe me, I have a choice of a lot of music to play in this house, and just some of the things you did were so extraordinary, and you forget about it. Here we are, a third of a century later, and they're still blowing my tiny mind, which is wonderful. Tell me about the audiences you're getting or hope to get. I bet you there's a lot of grey-haired old geezers like me, but I bet you, because of your legendary status, there's also a load of young people staring up at you in disbelief.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a really good, our fan base, and without a word of a lie, goes from like 8 to 84, really, I mean, we should really be doing family tickets. And we get, we get, the sort of the mums and dads who are there in the 50s and they turn up with their kids and, it's a big, especially because of our jolts into a bit of television, innit? Kids will watch Gogglebox or something and go, who are these two old bleeders? You know what I mean? Acting like teenagers.
Not just the kids. I thought the same thing, to be fair. I've recently done some things in theatres myself with another football show that I do, and I mean, I now know why people like yourselves are addicted to playing live. The energy you get back from a group of people, whether it's in Elland Road where I saw you playing in front of 50,000 or in a theatre with 500 people, that energy, there's nothing else like it, is there?
No, that wasn't you up in that floodlights, was it? You know,
no,
climbed to the top.
I'm not agile enough for that, Sean. Don't worry about that. Tell me about the experience of feeling that energy coming back from the audiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. You know, for me, it's better than ever now. You know, I mean, I used to deal with all that lot in different ways. You know, but you know, and it did get a bit nervous. But the older I've got, you know, the better I've got. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate it and love it more than ever. I mean, you know, for us lot, really, the sex and drugs is gone. Well, for me, anyway. And and we've just got the rock and roll now, you know. So it's just.
I guess when you get to how should I put it, our vintage, you can't really do the rock and roll if you have the sex and drugs as well. So you know, we'll see how it goes. Any chance of any new songs, the new album?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm in the studio at the moment, writing for a new Mondays album. So you know. Alan McGee wants it out maybe the end. Well, I don't know about the end of this year, but certainly next year should be out.
Okay, I won't do my award-winning impression of Alan McGee. Come on, Sean, we can do this.
Well,
we can do it.
That was
the whispering.
I mean, Alan McGee always gets what he wants, right? Especially in America, and the only reason is because they can't understand him, and they're just too. Especially in America, they're too embarrassed to say, you know, what are you saying? So they just give Alan what he wants, really.
And look, this is a sports channel. And I've been asked to prod you about football. But unlike, say, your Mancunian town mates, Oasis, who are only too keen to bang on about it, I think you're a Manchester United fans. Is that right?
Yeah, well, born and bred, really. That's in the family. And my side of we're actually Salfordians, me and Bez. We're not Mancunians. We're Salfordians, and so yeah, you know, born and bred red. I mean, although, you know, I think I haven't really been to watched the United games since Gary Neville and
class of '98.
Yeah, the class of '98 was that it.
Proper team, though, proper football team.
Well, I mean, I grew up with Dennis Law and Georgie Best and Bobby Charlton and Alex Stepney, you know. So they're still running around the pitch in my head.
I noticed, Bez, you had a particularly brilliant red and black suit on at the BAFTAs. That was a very nifty number indeed. I suppose I'd ask you then, Sean, has it been, you know, if you're not going regularly, probably Manchester City's ascendancy in recent years hasn't been that much of a pain. You probably had other things to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, look. At the end of the day, it's good. It's good for Manchester. You know, it's good for it's good all round. You know, I'm not one of them sort of people that's going to start slagging, you know, them off because so, you know, and it's good for that area as well around Beswick. You know, where they've. Where their stadium is.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. You know, you've remained. The Manchester thing is still very, very big with you, and you know about your local areas. What do you make of this plan for Manchester United to build a stadium about the size of a small town itself, and that will be visible from Liverpool because of the big mast? That's nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. I've actually heard of that. That's going on. And I think one of my cousins is actually working on the planning on it.
What?
And they're struggling buying the ground what they wanted. I think
the land.
The land, yeah, because I think that's what's holding it back at the moment.
Any idea where do you want to build it? What part?
Oh, it's going to be right next to the current Old Trafford. There's a kind of railway sidings or something. And that's going to be the main base of it.
Okay.
And then they're going to build these masts to represent the boats on the Manchester Ship Canal, and they will be literally visible from Liverpool. I mean, I talk about football getting out of its box. Get back in your lane, football. Listen, back to the gigs. Tell me, Bez, first, what you are most looking forward to in the next 2 or 3 months when you're on the road.
Oh, mostly the camaraderie, because I love being on the road. I love the friendship, you know, being together, and it's just. it's just like fun, and it's like brings that that child feeling of being a kid again, when you're all out as a group of mates. And for me, that's what I love about it. And of course, what a great way to make a living, dancing and shaking your maracas. Don't get better.
What about you, Sean? What are you looking forward to, my friend?
What am I looking forward to? Well, getting out at the house.
Yeah. Oh, and not staring at the television all day with Bez. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, it's a joy and a pleasure. I did tell you before we came on here, the last time we actually spoke physically to each other was 1,000,000 years ago, when the Earth was young and dinosaurs ran things. We were in the Blue Lagoon in Iceland on one of the maddest trips and one of the maddest gigs I've ever seen. But that's a story for another day. Right now, here in the present, the Mighty Happy Mondays are on the road. You can go and see them. There are probably no tickets left, but hopefully they'll be doing, stuff on television and what have you. And it is a genuine joy to my whole heart to talk to Sean and Bez, and I can only thank them so much. Thank you both so much for dropping in for a few minutes. Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Can I ask you one question? No, that's on your left shoulder. Is that a petrol tank of something?
That I would say that is a little it's a Christmas tree decoration. I'm very fond of cactuses, and one of my nieces bought me that little cactus, so I put it in here for luck.
Well, that's the red thing. Is that that's?
Oh no, that's a model of the Trans-Europe Express from East Germany.
Right. All right, I can see it now.
Yeah,
like a
because I have a program about European football called Trans-Europe Express. No, that's a very, very old piece of ceramics, Bez. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really nice, mate. I like it.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. I like.
Listen, have a great time on the road. I mean, not the kind of time you would have had 35 years ago, but a modern great time. And I'll be coming to see us, I'm sure, when you get to Ireland. Bless us all.
Thank you.
See you in a bit, mate. Bye.
Nice one.
My squad, my two goalkeepers are Jordan Pickford, Dean Henderson. I think they both are nailed on to go. Right? So, and if you looked at Nick Pope recently, no.
Okay.
Even I think Ramsdale, I think Aaron Ramsdale's better, but it's my opinion.
Right.
Shout out Rambo. Back foot.
All right, you only take two goalkeepers?
Yeah. Would you need? Do you need more than that?
Yeah, legally you have to take three.
Legally?
Yeah. It's part of the rules.
Well, I'm going to go Ramsdale.
All right, okay.
I'm
I'm a little bit worried now that you've picked your 26-man squad and all of a sudden you've just found out you've got to take three goalkeepers. Yeah. Right? Ramsdale, because your mate.
So that's Ramsdale, right?
Your mate.
So that,
Rambo.
Right, here we go.
Sorry.
But that's...
Why you got a highlighter pen?
Because these are I've got highlight the ones that are definite, and the others are more work to do.
All right, okay.
You like that?
Very complex, this, isn't it?
Not really.
Okay, go on.
So I've got a question. So I've got question mark next to Ramsdale and question mark next to Nick Pope, right? As that third string goalkeeper.
Oh, you got... Sorry. This is your 26-man squad.
Yes, but listen.
So nail down the three.
Me and Joe did this. You just side piece, all right? So you just stay over there. I'm about to ring the squad.
I'll just read it out what we do now. Bentley names his 26-man squad.
Thank you. Right,
who are your three goalkeepers?
Right back.
No, genuinely, you've got to pick your six.
Okay, but it's 26-man squad, right? But some of them are not nailed on. So I can have options, can't I? Thank you, Joe. Honestly, we was sitting.
So it's not 26.
Anyway, right back, Reece James. Right.
All right.
He's definite, nailed on.
Okay.
I've only got one right back because my nailed on centre halves are Konza, Mark Gahey, John Stones. Konza can play right back and has played right back for England, so he can go out there. I've also got in the squad Maguire.
few minutes' time, we'll be joined by Jack Pitt-Brooke, the Spurs correspondent at Athletic, to talk about tonight's big game against Crystal Palace. But first, the Indian innings has ended, and they've got a decent score for a test match. Unfortunately, it's a T20 game. John Norman.
My predecessor, the great Jack Bannister, like many in cricket, used to say, until you see both teams bat, you can't make you can't make a call on on an innings. Well, I'm making a call right now, because it seems to me at the halfway stage of this match that India are so far out of sight. They've got 1 foot in the final, and England have got 1 foot back on the plane, home to Blighty. 253 for 7 would be a good score, as you say, Danny, in a T20, an ODI, or a test match. Unfortunately, it's the former. Every single one of India's top 8 batters hit at a strike rate in excess of 100. 3 of them in excess of 200. And Tilak Varma, towards the back end of the innings, hit 21 from 7, which was a strike rate of 300. How different it could have been if Sanju Samson, who top scored with 89, was caught by Harry Brook at mid-on. But he wasn't. He was on 15 at the time. And England, unfortunately, were a distant second best from that point onwards. I could run through the scorecard in terms of the bowlers, but we're not past the watershed yet, so I won't. Halfway stage, England need 254, get the video printer out, if they are to win this match and make it through to the final.
Yeah, John Norman there, slightly bleeding on air. It's an interesting sound, isn't it? Okay.
I believe, Danny, I believe we can do this. Come
I
on,
know you do.
Josh Butler's got 100 in him somewhere. Surely he can't be bad every single game.
That will be 40% of the runs needed, yeah. Look, tonight there's a huge game in North London. Spurs take on Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And really now, after the results last night, if they didn't realise it before, and of course they did, they are in the absolute grip of a relegation battle and would be the biggest club, biggest financial institution ever relegated in the history of football anywhere. Joining me to discuss tonight's game, much else besides, is the Spurs correspondent for The Athletic, and of course my colleague on the View from the Lane Spurs podcast that absolutely dominates the global media landscape. Jack Pitt-Brooke. Good afternoon, Jack.
Hello, Jack.
Afternoon, Danny. How you doing?
Very good. Well, look, they've sacked the manager, they've got rid of the CEO, they've got rid of the director of football, they can't get rid of the fans. So, truthfully, you wrote a piece today in The Athletic. Tonight and from here on in, it's down to the players. There's nobody else left to look to or to blame.
That's right. I think the players are the only ones who can fix this. They're the only ones with any power or control left. I feel like for too much this season, it's felt like everyone's been waiting for a saviour. No one is coming to save Spurs. There is no saviour. This is not like 97-98 where Jurgen Klinsmann came in on loan and scored all those goals. That's not happening. There are not enough games left. It's March. So the players have to figure this out for themselves, because if they don't, Tottenham are going to go down. It's as simple as that. We've all seen how well West Ham are playing at the moment. And Forest got a good point at City yesterday, and that I think is going to be that puts so much pressure on Spurs, and it's only the players who can figure it out from here.
You need some energy, you need some positivity. I'm here to give it to you, Jack and Danny, right? This is how you win tonight. You start fast, and you've got to get Richarlison, Xavi Simons and Kolo Muani playing in the box. We've got Richarlison, who's a Brazilian, could be Brazil's number 9 in the World Cup. I'm trying to be positive here for you. Why won't this happen, Jack?
Yeah, I know you're trying to be positive, Charlie, and I do think they do have some good attacking players. Richarlison, Solanke, Kolo Muani, Siemens are all good players. They've got some good defenders too. They don't really have anything in the middle of the pitch. That's been a problem they've had all season. The 2 best midfielders haven't played a minute this year. They both come back from NEOPS. That's Maddison and Kulusevski. But I just think I think fundamentally the problem is bigger than just how good are the players. I fear that the players' heads have gone a bit. I was at Fulham on Sunday, and I just think they look so low on confidence that I think that if they do go down, that will be what does it for them. I think they've lost belief, and they need to bring that out of themselves somehow.
Jack, I'm not a huge believer in the 12th man theory. I also note that Jack looks as glazed as I do with the cricket. He's a great big fan of the cricket as well. But the Spurs players and the manager, indeed, have used the crowd's inertia and displeasure with the team as an excuse after some games, or certainly a reason. I think the crowd has to get behind the team tonight, partially to stop the players having that excuse, oh, it really wasn't a great atmosphere, we couldn't play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the players have taken every excuse available to them this season. I certainly think they've taken the excuse that because there's been, it's been so much drama away from the pitch, I think players have realised that if they lose, people will just blame the shambles of the club. I think they have hidden behind that, and you're right. They can't hide behind an excuse about the fans. I think equally the fans have to get behind them. I think it's one of those situations where I think morally, I think the duty is on the players, but in practice, I think the duty is on the fans. I think the fans do have to really get behind them and create that positive to unified atmosphere, because without that they've got no chance. Like, the only way out of this is with the players and the fans pulling together, which hasn't really happened that much this season. I don't blame the fans for that much, but they absolutely need that at a minimum tonight.
They needed a new manager bounce. They don't seem to have brought in a very bouncy manager to me in style, play of style, or in personality. Are you playing in Palace tonight in Oliver Glasner? Are you playing a potential Spurs manager, do you think?
Maybe. I mean, I think Glasner. Yeah, I feel like Glasner would be kind of plausible Tottenham manager, depending on what happens in the next few weeks. I do think Glasner has kind of blotted his copybook a bit with the way he's conducted things in the last few months. I think the toys have very much gone out of the pram in a way that clubs don't like. Like, clubs do not like managers airing their dirty laundry in public in the way that Glasner has done. So maybe, but I certainly agree that they haven't got any kind of bounce yet out of Tudor. I mean, he's only had 2 games and he's only had less than 2 weeks with the players, but ultimately he was brought in to make a short-term impact, and he hasn't made a short-term impact. And so if he doesn't make an impact, if they don't do anything in the next few games, I think people will start to think, well, what's the point of him being the manager?
Yeah, he wears the distinct look of a man who's made a long journey to look at a second-hand car, and he's to find when he gets there it's up on blocks. That is a look you don't want from your new manager. Jack, thank you very much indeed. Jack. See you tomorrow on the View from the Lane podcast. And that game.
Don't plug your own projects, please, Danny. I mean, no, you don't hear
Jack's project. It's Jack's project.
You don't hear me sitting here going on about my tour. Go get it. Tickets available throughout the country. You can go on charliebakercomedy.com.
I can't believe that if you go to charliebaker.com, there are still tickets available for your Go Get It tour.
You can't believe that. Tickets available all throughout the country, the whole country, starting in September till next May. Unbelievable.
September to May, you say, on charliebaker.com.
You wouldn't find me saying that.
You're listening to the shameless Charlie Baker and me, the very modest Danny Kelly. This is talkSPORT, and next up, we're going to hear from former Birmingham midfielder Martin O'Connor. It's a great story. You'll enjoy it.
Manchester United defender Harry Maguire has today been handed a 15-month suspended sentence by a Greek court following an incident on the island of Mykonos. Way back in August 2020, actually, Maguire initially was given a suspended sentence of 21 months and 10 days in prison after being found guilty of repeated bodily harm, attempted bribery, violence against public employees and assault. The very next day, Maguire and his legal team lodged an appeal against that verdict. The appeal nullified his conviction and meant there would be a full retrial. The retrial was postponed on not one, not two, not three, but 4 occasions between 2023 and 2025. It finally started over in Greece today, and it concluded Maguire was guilty of non-serious assault, resisting arrest, and attempted bribery. As I say, the sentence is 15 months suspended. Speaking to sources close to Harry Maguire, he continues to deny any wrongdoing and plans to appeal this verdict at the Supreme Court. He's also turned down, we're told, a number of opportunities to settle the case out of court, and he's determined that he'll clear his name legally. Now, Maguire wasn't part of these legal proceedings over in Greece. He's been preparing for Manchester United's big game away at Newcastle tonight. They have the opportunity to cement themselves in the top 3 in the Premier League. And he picked up an injury at the weekend. I'm told Maguire is expected to be involved. So that's the very latest as we have it.
Championship playoffs will include teams which finish 7th and 8th from next season. Simon Jordan has told talkSPORT why he believes that decision has been made.
It creates more broadcaster engagement. It's about money. This isn't about expanding the league and making it more opportunistic to get in the Premier League. This is about more games and being able to go to the broadcasters and go, look at this unique product here, this playoffs.
Well, the teams who finish 3rd and 4th will go straight to the semi-finals. The next 4 teams will play a one-legged quarter-final with the 5th and 6th place sides at home. Elsewhere, in the Premier League, we understand City are going after Elliot Anderson. They see him as a potential Rodri replacement. Forest value Anderson at £70 million. Now, after talkSPORT's Alan Pardew said an Arsenal title would need an asterisk next to it due to their playing style, David Moyes has sprung to the Gunners' defence.
I think Mikel's done a brilliant job. And I hear quite a lot of criticism of Arsenal, and I quite often, when you're in football and you actually know what happens and how it works, and you boys are in it, they are doing amazing to be leading the league.
At the other end of the table, Arsenal's North London rivals are just a point off the bottom 3. Neil Warnock's blaming what he calls a toxic dressing room.
Some of the Tottenham players, the ability they've got, and they use it when they want to use it, and I just think it's criminal, for the manager.
Spurs host Palace tonight.
Has been a wicket
Come on,
cricket. John Norman.
Well, at the start of this innings, England, according to the win probability, had a 4.5% chance of winning this game, and 6 balls in, it's gone down. They're now 3.17, and that's because Phil Salt has just skied Hardik Pandya's first ball straight to Axar Patel inside the ring on the offside. So his tournament, which has been a little bit of a sad and soggy affair, has just come to an end, probably, unless England make it through to the final. So we're in the second over of what could be the greatest run chase in the history of cricket, and England are 14 for 1.
Thank you very much,
Nearly
John.
for 2 then, Danny. Nearly for 2.
Oh, well, if your prediction is right, Charlie, they'll be getting these runs sometime just after we come off air. Right, I love a footballer who knows where home is. In his long and distinguished career, Martin O'Connor, who's from Walsall, played for Bromsgrove, Walsall, Peterborough, Birmingham, Walsall again, Shrewsbury, Kidderminster. Martin did not stray far from home. There were 2 games for Crystal Palace that I'm sure he just got lost. And I'm delighted to say, as he's got a new project to try and put something back into his hometown of Walsall, that he joins us on the line now. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Martin.
Hi, you guys.
Really, thank you for joining us. As I say, you're a person who has been very loyal to his local area. And now, I mean, you've just finished working at Birmingham City. You're trying to put something back into the community at Walsall, but it's a very ambitious project. Tell us about it.
Yeah, basically, obviously, I was born and bred in Walsall. As you say, I haven't strayed too far away from the town, and it's had some bad press of late, guys. Deprived areas and unemployment and antisocial behaviour. So I'm setting up a community company to try and give a little bit back to the town where I was born and bred.
And how will it? What form will this take?
Various forms. We're setting up mental health projects and multi-sports activity projects and dealing with family support, debt management and things like that. So it's a generic, holistic project that hopefully will bring some good news to the people of Walsall and try and get the spirit of Walsall back to where I believe it should be.
Yeah, this is great because this is what football clubs are and should be, especially as you go down the pyramid. Football clubs are at the centre of their community. They provide solace for loneliness, for anybody looking to create a community, and this is what you're tapping into here, and it sounds great, Martin. It really does.
Yeah, it's something that I'm proud to start. Obviously, it's a long process. We're just starting. Hopefully, we got some good support from the local council.
Yeah,
I've been speaking to local youth workers, community police, headmasters, just to see what the area needs. Because obviously, as I said, the bad press it got for one of the worst areas to live in the country ain't great. So I just want to put a positive spin on it and try and give a little bit back to the area.
My knowledge of Walsall is very limited. I've got to be honest, Martin, but I always remember whenever I was driving in the West Midlands, when you're on the motorway, you'd see the old floodlights on the Bescott Stadium. It was a heartwarming sight when you could see a football ground from the motorway. It was just wonderful. It strikes me, Martin, that we don't know this when we're young, but you probably know it now, that when areas do become deprived, run down, whatever the current phraseology is, let's not mess about. It is the young people who need the help the most, I think, and the very old. But the young people are the ones who've got the energy to help themselves as well. Will you be targeting them in specific ways?
Yeah, definitely. Previously, 2-3 years ago, I ran a successful education and football academy for 9 years, taking guys from the street, 16 to 18, giving them education, giving them a pathway. So I think for me, it resonates, obviously, because I'm from the area, but also, there is a lot of bad press, and I just want to highlight the good things that are happening at Walsall, the good things that are happening around the area, because obviously that they don't get the headlines that bad press gets.
Yeah, and if you can see it, you can do it, and that's the thing with young people, isn't it? If you show them what's available to them and the positives that they can then live, and they normally follow that. Let's just move on to Birmingham City. Obviously, big US owners. Martin, Tom Brady involved, a winner, one of the biggest winners in world sport. What revolution have you seen at the club?
To be fair to you, when I was around the club for 6-7 years, you did no investment whatsoever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these Americans come with big ideas, big pockets, and they just flooded the club with money and investment. And, the expectation of the club went to different levels. And I think sometimes when we have bad performances and bad results, people expect us to go and walk over teams, and it's never going to be the case. Last year, fantastic season, got promotion after a poor relegation year, and it's going to be tough this year. And I think, you know, if we can consolidate and build on what we've the foundations we've built this year, you know, we'll be in good stead to hopefully make that big leap into the Premier League in years to come.
Do you know what? I mean, obviously, I remember when Birmingham were a regular team in the top level of English football. And of course, it is a very, very big club. Some people will always sort of be sniffy and say that Aston Villa are the big club in Birmingham. But the actual working class communities in Birmingham, in my experience, tend to be blue noses, you know. The example, of course, the great inspiration for everyone now, not everybody can have rich new owners, but watching what Wrexham have done shows that in the pyramid of English football, which is its greatest strength, Martin, everything is eventually possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a time limit, but there's also the speed you need to get there. And I think, obviously, you know, the fans who have put up with so much over the years, the Birmingham Blue Noses, they want success now, and we are successful as a club. You know, as a fan, it's a fantastic experience now to go to home games, sell out every week, so that's great. But I think, you know, that process to get ready for the Premier League, because you don't really want to be a yo-yo club, in my opinion. You want to get there sustainable and make sure you can sustain that Premier League status. So, yes, we'll consolidate this year. We've had 2 poor performances of late, but I think we'll consolidate this year and hopefully mount a bigger surge for next year. I mean, you know, we're talking about Birmingham, but Walsall are American-owned as well. So it's weird that all these Americans are coming to buy these English clubs.
How hands-on are the owners, Martin?
Well, obviously Tom Wagner, he's always in the press. He's always coming to games. He's in with the fans. He's buying the fans a beer and stuff like that. So that's great camaraderie. It shows that, you know, he's in tune with the club. I think sometimes, you know, as an owner of the club, the good ones know when to come into the club and have that, you know, that appearance, and other ones need to know when to stay back and just promote the club from afar. So I think at the moment they're doing really well, the owners.
Well, look, Martin, these projects, they have to start somewhere. It needs someone with your vision and determination to give it any chance of success. All we can do from this distance is to keep an eye on what you're doing, come back and talk to us more when you get some developments, and to wish you all the luck in the world.
Yeah, good luck with it, Martin.
Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, I would pay good money to listen to anybody with a black country accent speak. I absolutely love it. And Martin's is just beautiful there.
Yeah, and Walsall always halfway home for me, Danny, if I'm coming back from Manchester.
Okay.
Once you get past seeing Walsall's ground, obviously you've got the thrill of seeing a football stadium from the motorway. But also I was nearly halfway home, so I was like, oh yeah, great, we're nearly there.
All right, listen, believe it or not, because we could have been taken off in the first 15 minutes of today's show, you're still listening to Kelly and Baker on talkSPORT in partnership with Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station.
Fabrizio Romano is the man in question here. But the question that goes from many people at this particular time regarding Fabrizio is there a fine line between being a top journalist and being an influencer? Or can you be both? What's Romano done? He's been criticised after he posted a video on Twitter to his 27 million followers, which essentially in the eyes of many was an advert for Saudi Arabia and their humanitarian aid. Now, the video itself is about a couple of minutes long, but we've cut it down. This is Fabrizio.
King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center. Over 10 years since its inception, the center has implemented 4,212 projects in 113 countries worldwide, reflecting the leading humanitarian role of Saudi Arabia. 155 cases evaluated, patients from 28 countries across 5 continents. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ranked second globally and first in the Arab world in humanitarian aid for 2025 and topped the list of the largest donors according to the United Nations Financial Tracking Service, FTS.
So for 2 minutes, Fabrizio tells us and lauds and applauds the work that is done by the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Centre. But some other journalists have laid into Fabrizio for the Post, some suggesting now that he helps unsettle the transfer market by putting up paid posts from agents and others.
Yeah, this piece of music, of course, beautiful as it is, tells us it's time to go to South America now for all the latest from that wonderful footballing continent in the presence of it's my mates on today. I'm really enjoying this.
Nice, Danny.
You normally hear him, on Sunday night on the undisputably award-winning Trans-Europe Express programme, but it's Mr. Tim Vickery, who sometimes does a bit of traitoring on this show. Hello, Tim.
Hello, how you doing? I have seen Paul. I've met Paul Hawksby in Brazil.
In real life.
Wow.
In real life. And at the moment, it looks like he hasn't turned native and he'll be back for duty on Monday.
How funny is that? Because Andy's here in Ireland. It's a real... What's going on? What is going on? I mean, I know sometimes people say Britain's a tough place to live these days, but is the balloon going up and already scouting alternative locations? Tim, I want to talk to you.
It does feel a long, long way away from the world, Brazil. And sometimes that can be frustrating. Right now, at this moment in time, that's very, very comforting. You lot can get on with your world elsewhere.
Hold on. Meanwhile, in India, there's been another wicket in the cricket.
There has. This could be the big moment in an innings which has just struggled to get going. England 38 for 2, and it's Harry Brook who has been dismissed. Jasprit Bumrah's first delivery. It's a cutter, and Brooks on the ball too soon. One hand off the bat, and this ball has gone absolutely miles in the air. It's heading towards the boundary at deep cover, and it's Axar Patel who turns and starts running the moment the ball has left the bat. And all the time the ball is in the air, you're just wondering, is it going to drop just too far from the outstretched hands of the fielder as he paces away? And this is an exceptional catch from Patel. He's dived and taken the catch. Brilliant bit of fielding. And unfortunately, that means that England's best 2 batters have now gone. Salt for 5, Brook for 7, Butler's still there, but England 38 for 2 in the 5th, chasing 254.
Still full of it. Still full of optimism, Charlie.
Butler still in. Got that big knock in him.
Yeah, very good. Tim, I want to talk to you about Felipe Luis. It's only in South America you can win a game 8-0 and then immediately get given your cards.
Yeah, we do have to celebrate a spiny Norman wicket. I think they're great radio moments. Yes, I was telling you and Andy Brass on Sunday that Felipe Luis was under intense pressure. Despite having late November won South American Champions League, early December won the Brazilian League, and then mid-December taken Paris Saint-Germain to a penalty shootout in the final of the Intercontinental. What have you done for me lately, said Flamengo, after he lost 2 finals. Aren't really finals. There's the kind of the domestic charity shield and the continental charity shield, if you were. And Flamengo lost both of those. And he was sacked before that 8-0, but he didn't know it because they didn't tell him.
Wow.
So he won the 8-0. This was against a very weak team. It was a second leg of a semi-final, completing the Rio semi-final, completing an 11-0 aggregate win. They'd sacked him already. The decision was taken. So he went and won the game 8-0. Then he goes to give the press conference, full of hopes and ambitions for the future. And after that, back in the dressing room, a 30-second conversation, P45 time, you're out.
Wow.
And this is the way that they have treated an idol, because he played for the club very successfully for 4 years, rounding off his career before becoming the youth team coach and then the incredibly successful first team coach. And they gave him a new contract with a massive pay rise just over 2 months ago. And in just over 2 months, that relationship has already broken down.
Crackers.
Some of this, of course, Tim, is because of the incredible competitiveness of Brazilian football these days with the money that's sloshing through it. Let's stay with Brazil then. And for me, a real shame. One of the great players in world football will miss the World Cup. Rodrigo of Real Madrid and Brazil is out with an ACL. Horrible.
Yeah, and such an important World Cup for him because he has been the coming man for a while now. Even before Vinny Jr. was the coming man, he was the coming man. And it hasn't quite happened, and he's got bad memories of the last World Cup. I think he took the first penalty in the shootout against Croatia, then he missed it. So this was going to be his moment. This was going to be his World Cup. Thankfully, he's only 25, so he's got another one coming down the line.
Yeah.
But he sits out this one. And obviously, a door closing for one is a door opening for another. And in a way, it may help Ancelotti with a selection dilemma because he wants to go with a front four. He wants to do that. Whether that will be possible in the extreme heat, we will have to find out. But 3 of those front four at this moment, I think I kind of nailed on. Estevão of Chelsea, Rafinha of Barcelona, Vinny Jr. of Real Madrid. The 4th, I think, was between Rodrigo and Mateus Cunha of Man United. And it would have pained Ancelotti to leave out Rodrigo with their relationship in Real Madrid. But I think he was inclining anyway towards Mateus Cunha. So this is opportunity knocking for Mateus Cunha, along, of course, with the other competitor for that position, who is João Pedro, who's in terrific form for Chelsea, and also because this is the position of Neymar as well. So maybe this opens a little door in a 26-man squad to Neymar getting back in, although he's in a race against time to do so.
And someone who's going to make a late run to the England team is Jesse Lingard, because he's about to be announced by Corinthians. Unbelievable return for him here. What level are Corinthians good? Tim, are they signing Jesse Lingard for what are they signing him for?
They've already got Memphis Depay, which gives you an idea of they're a massive club. Club.
No, I know they're a big club, but are they good at the moment is my question.
They're the biggest club in the biggest city in South America, the city of Sao Paulo. They've been going through financial problems and a lot of scandals as well. They had that new stadium built for them for the 2014 World Cup, and they haven't really been able to pay it.
Right.
So there've been lots of financial problems, but they won the cup last year, meaning that they are in the Champions League this year. They're in the Libertadores. So this is a really exciting tropical adventure for Jesse Lingard. He's already training with them. He hasn't been announced yet. because they're just waiting for the work visa to come through. But that's a formality. And he was in South Korea last up. He hasn't played since, I think, December the 10th. So it will take him a little while, I think, to get up to speed. But what a fascinating tropical adventure. I can't wait. Give it a month, give it a couple of months, let the temperature die down a little bit. And I can't wait to see how he goes.
Fantastic.
Tim, as always, it's beautiful to talk to you and informative and entertaining. I'll see you again on Sunday, 11 o'clock, for your spot on Trans-Europe Express, which is immutable. Things get moved around, things get cancelled. Tim is never, ever any of those things. He's like those statues on Easter Island. You can rely on him to be there, which is just great. And I'm glad that we've been able to rely on you, Charlie, for the last 3 hours.
I've had a wonderful time, Danny.
I've really enjoyed the 3 hours. And, of course, we'll be doing it all again tomorrow afternoon, where we'll be looking back on the cricket. We'll be looking back on Spurs and Crystal Palace and looking forward to a weekend of sport, including further build-up to the Cheltenham Festival. So up next here, though, on talkSPORT, it is Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bennett. It only remains for me to say good afternoon to you all. God bless you all and goodbye.
David, good morning, mate. First of all,
good morning, David.
Morning, all.
David, here's a quick one for you, mate. I know we'll not be talking European football. We'll calm everything down. I want to start with this statistic, right, which I would imagine would please you as much as anything. Everton, after reaching the 40-point mark in 28 games, that's only the second time they've done that in 9 seasons. Now, I reckon that in itself is an achievement. But, and I know you'll play it down, you must have a wee thought about European football.
Well, I said right at the start, Coisty, that I said to the players that we need to try and aim for it and hope that it was possible. In truth, it looked a million miles away, to be honest, at the start. But I have to say, we got off to a pretty good start in the league, and it's given us something to hold on to. We've been up and down, and we're probably just on the outside of European football, if we're honest. But we're not that far away that we couldn't try and make a go of it.
David, obviously the Grealish injury was disappointing, but how happy are you now with the competition for places?